Hey there, you're listening to You Still Going On About That with Rob Israel and Joseph K. You can find us anywhere you could download podcasts. You could also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YSGOAT. Thanks for listening. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that?
All right, Joseph, it is May 10th. That crazy?
It is.
Yeah.
It's yeah, man, it feels like it's going too soon.
Remember that lady on TikTok who was saying that things were getting closer to her, like the sky was getting closer and time was moving faster? And she thought it was like a huge conspiracy. And I said, maybe she's right, maybe she is right, maybe
she could be onto something.
Maybe that has nothing to do with age and how you perceive time, or the fact that you might need glasses as you get older. I think she's 100% correct. And now, someone should hire her and put her in a think tank or something.
Well, there may be a new administration coming, and I'm sure Trump would want to hear from her and her thoughts. And
she has some really good ideas.
She could be the new Secretary of the Interior.
Secretary of things getting a little too close and time moving fast.
Right.
It's my new Space Force. Remember that? Space Force?
It's still a thing. They just had something like a couple weeks ago. I saw Space Force being represented.
Oh my God. I just think the one thing I would hope that they would just change the name.
It's so, I mean,
it's sounds like something an asshole would come up with.
I was thinking, like, what would you, because that was my thing at the time. It's like, it is ridiculous, but what would you call it? I don't know why they just didn't
Marvel
make
and DC they would come up with a better name than Space Force.
Well, in
Commander Theory, I need you to get Space Force. What? Theory?
I need you.
What a dumbass name.
We're gonna get, I mean, they Alpha Flight's a better name. That would work.
They are Canadians.
Well, yeah. I like the little guy with the giant P on his shirt. I thought his name was Poutine. It's
Poutine. Yeah, no, his name's Puck.
Okay.
Fact about Puck.
Yeah.
He appears to be a dwarf. He's actually not a dwarf. He's actually a regular-sized old man. And I don't know if he found an amulet or he got cursed or whatever.
Sure.
But he was turned into a very powerful, younger-looking dwarf.
Huh.
He was really like a 75-year-old man.
It's a very convoluted origin story.
Yeah. Like, is this necessary? Can he just be a superhero who happens to be a dwarf? No, we need to make this a little extra layer of complicity. Like,
we need a hat on a hat. I think, like, in all the military sci-fi I've read and watched, usually they just make the Space Force, they just make it the Navy. It's like, now it's our Navy's in space. Yeah, or part of the Air Force or something. Like Space Above and Beyond, I think it was Navy. And a lot of them are just like, they're the Navy. I think
when you say Space Force, it just sounded like a grift. Like, there's definitely money going to something, and we have no idea where it's going. And it's how into Donald Trump's reelection making.
Right. Yes. Yeah. To some. Yeah. Star Wars Visions, and you saw Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
We're going to talk about the shooting in Allen, Texas.
Yep.
And then afterward, Greg Abbott briefly floated some gun regulations, and they actually did get some gun regulations going, but we'll talk about that. Then there was a terrible murder in Brownsville where a guy in an SUV intentionally ran over a group of migrants waiting for services, and he killed, I think, 8 or 9 people and wounded 7 or 8. It was really terrible. We're talking about a subway death, which happened in New York. Okay. Which was that was another, gosh, that's a story we hear a lot about. Well, I guess that's more of I don't know what that is. We're going to talk about Trump being found guilty in his civil suit. We're going to talk about him appearing incoherent at a deposition, and then we'll briefly talk about the town hall he had tonight on CNN.
Yeah, CNN decided to give him a free hour of like propaganda.
It was like an hour and a half. It was brutal. I watched the whole thing.
Him a free campaign commercial.
Yeah, it was brutal. I watched the whole thing. I know you watched some clips. We're going to talk about George Santos getting charged.
Yeah, who
George
could have saw that coming? Can't
Yeah,
believe
he probably would have had a fine life had he never gotten into politics.
Oh, he would have been arrested at some point. Now it's just, I think him becoming a congressman just makes it even more complicated.
Yeah.
Arrest him and adds like a tinge of politics. If he wasn't a congressman, he would have been arrested, no issue. They wouldn't even.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about
deciding vote in Congress almost.
Yeah, really. We're talking about Tucker Carlson starting a Twitter show and Elon Musk's involvement or non-involvement with that. And then
we'll talk about that. That's interesting.
And then we're gonna talk about maybe we'll talk about a little bit about school boards at the end, which is it sounds like a boring subject, but I think it's an important one.
All right, so before we get into all the crazy stuff that happened, let's talk about Visions real quick.
Yeah.
So basically, this is the second season. Disney did one last year. I think they premiered it on May 4th also. And that
sounds right.
It's basically a collection of, they kind of run like 15 to 20 minutes.
Yes.
And they're all like different. Last year was mostly different versions of like anime. And this year it feels like they branched out more. You said it reminded you a lot more of like Love, Death, and Robots.
Yeah. When I first heard about Visions last year, I assumed it was going to be a Love, Death, and Robots type of thing. But you're right. It felt very like anime or like, Japanese anime style.
Yeah, they were definitely going
inspired.
For that. Yeah.
Right. And it was fun. I liked it very much. But I like this better in the sense that it's like, it's like a Love, Death, and Robots approach. There's a whole bunch of different animation styles, different takes on the subject. I thought it was really good. So I liked it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
the end.
This year, they got some like pretty big animation houses, like at least recognizable ones. I like that. Was it Aardman? Is that the name? It's the Wallace and Gromit one.
I think so. Yes.
That one was really awesome. That involved like pod racing or it was kind of like pod racing. I don't know.
Yeah, I like the animation in that was great. They had a cute little Jawa at the beginning of that episode.
Yeah, I mean it was like think of like Wallace Gromit or Chicken Run, I think, or any of those.
Oh yeah.
Like the sheep. It's that animation style.
Shaun the Sheep.
It's like a British company. And then they did they had one from I think it might have been it had to be Leica. I didn't look it up, but it looked like Studio Leica. They did like Kubo, Box Trolls, and a couple other movies.
Oh yeah.
I think they might be the ones that did Caroline. I don't know. That's like a
Coraline.
The one with the buttons on the eyes.
That was fucked up.
And then they did. There was a couple other. The first one was like really good. It was more. That one reminded me the most of Love, Death, and Robots. It was like this kind of like a ex-Jedi or whatever, or a Sith apprentice. And
yes.
Just like she's like an artist though, and like she has like this awesome robot arm. But like, I don't know. I don't really. There's like they're not like insane depth. I mean, they're like it's more just like cool visuals. I'm glad they do this.
Yeah, I thought and there seemed to be like a theme of like light versus dark. I know that's a theme in Star Wars in general, but like it did in a weird sort of way. Also remind me a little bit of like the old Aeon Flux serials, and like that that era of liquid television. It just more of a feel than the actual episodes themselves. But they were like little vignettes. They were short. You could definitely see, like a couple of these appearing on like an episode of Night Flight back in the day, or like a liquid television. So it was cool, and they're so short. They are over before you know it. Not in a bad way, but like, I don't know. It's a cool little thing. So
yeah, no, I thought it was cool. I like I said, I don't really have like a ton of stuff to say about it. I'm glad they do this. I'm shocked they didn't do like a second episode though of the samurai episode. That was from the first season. That was
the first episode of the first season.
Yeah, it was like I would say that was probably the most like iconic of those, and I was surprised they just didn't do a second one in that universe.
That's funny, yeah.
they put out a comic, which basically was from that universe, and it was like the same style. It was really well done, and it had like they're all like versions of characters. So like
Right.
this character is like he's supposed to be like a ex Sith or something, and in the comic he goes against another Jedi who probably is most likely Mace Windu.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, like I said, I think it's awesome. I hope I'm assuming this is something they plan on doing every year, or
Yeah.
I can see them at least doing another one. I feel like I would love to see like almost like they go even crazier and have like one that looks like an old Hanna-Barbera cartoon. Like, yeah, Shmoo. Or
Right.
or do one that looks like Rick and Morty or like Bob's Burgers or whatever.
You have to get all of them together and do the Laugh Olympics. I think that's the only way to go.
Yeah, they should do that.
The
And
Force
the Clash of the
Olympics.
Sith Lord.
Yeah. I don't know. I look,
Uh,
I think that's good. I don't see why you wouldn't do this. I mean, this is basically
get Ghibli to do one. Ghibli didn't do one. But
no, but there was one. Didn't they do one for?
they did like some 1 minute short of.
It was super disappointing. Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't really anything. I mean, they were like, "This is Studio Ghibli's first Star Wars," and you're like, "Ooh!" And then you watch and you're like,
right.
It's
It's
cute."
like a demo reel.
It's
like
not anything. It's nothing that's like cool. And
no, it's like
I mean, Grogu kind of ends up looking more like Pikachu.
yeah, you get it. That was basically like an MFA portfolio piece or something.
Yeah,
it was good. Like, don't get me wrong, I liked it, but
is there
I like.
another season of Love, Death, and Robots coming back?
I
swore
have
there's
no
one.
idea. How
like
many
Netflix
seasons
is
did
like
they do?
weird.
2 or 3 seasons?
They have
Three.
3 now, I think.
Yeah.
The first season was the biggest one, and they've
Yeah.
been putting out like every year. They've been kind of putting out a shorter one, or like 9 episodes or whatever. The first one was like 18 or something.
Yeah. The first one felt like a legitimate season of TV. I know it probably wasn't minutes wise, but
yeah.
I don't know. I like this format. I don't see why they wouldn't keep doing it. Honestly, if they're housing them on Disney, there's really no reason why they can't just like do them episodically, like have a 15-minute one pop up every couple months. I mean, I like seeing them all together, but it's a great format. And honestly, it's like if they find one that really works, there's no reason why they can't spin it off into its own movie or its own series. I mean, it's like a pretty low risk way of seeing what works.
Yeah.
Plus, you can always bridge stories. Like you can take a Marvel approach where you reference something that occurred in a different show. It just works. It's good. I mean, let me back that up a little bit. If you like Star Wars a lot, it's amazing. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of like, I'm not saying they're harmless, but they're not in canon, and they get to do more fun things. And like I said, some of the animations were great. I still need to see like 2 or 3 more. Like I said, I hope they do it every year.
Yeah, me too.
It's something that just expands it and gives it like a new look. Like I said, it's kind of cool to see this season where they have like clearly a more recognizable animation house jump in, and I would love to see that next year again with like something just more out of nowhere, like just out of left field, or like do like some Sid and Marty Krofft shit.
Right.
No, serious.
I honestly, I think the weirder the better, especially with this under this housing. And I would now that Aeon Flux is in my head, I think it'd be real cool to do like a bunch of little like 30-40 second ones and kind of put them between the episodes. You could tell, those. I just really like the Aeon Flux thing. I think I want more of that. But like you could just do so much with it. You could be silly like Hanna-Barbera. It could be, you could do rotoscoping and have it be kind of a serious, artsy type of thing. I mean, it all works. So, and if you don't like it, it's not like an arc. You can if you're watching one and it gives you a headache, you just skip it. So exactly. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, I don't really have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, me either.
But I did see Guardians 3. You did.
Yeah.
I guess you read up a little bit about it. I don't want to go into like super details, especially if you didn't see it. But this is like, this sequel was supposed to come out. This was supposed to be the first movie of Phase 4, actually.
Yeah.
And thanks to right-wing trolls, what's that guy's name? Some scumbag. I forgot his name. He's one of these right-wing grifters.
So many of them.
What?
So many of them.
Right. This guy is like, he basically like exposed these like old tweets or something that James Gunn put out, and Disney already knew about them, and Gunn should have just deleted them, or maybe they were deleted, but this guy like found them. They were like from like 2007. So Disney like rationality was like they just jumped the gun, literally, and fired him. And people were like, "What the fuck?" And they were gonna like try to get another director. None of the directors would bite it. I guess Chris Pratt supposedly said like, if you have no problem using his script, because they were still gonna, he wrote a script. He does the script before he makes the movie, and he's like, if you have no problem using this guy's script, then you might as well have him direct the movie, because no one's gonna direct it. Like, this is his baby.
Well, I remember Bautista came out in favor of him. Bautista came out supporting him pretty. He was
quickly. Like right out the gate. He didn't like it. The other people were like a little slow. Bautista was just straight up like, this is bullshit. This is like absolute crap. Like, these are bad people who like are setting him up, and like,
I think that was even like cooler of him, because I don't think he was a super well-known Hollywood commodity at the time.
He was starring he was already Drax in 2 movies, and he was going to be in Avengers, Infinity War, and he was already like in a bunch of other movies here and there. But it's definitely good for him. I mean, I think I'm glad that he stood up and said something. It was bullshit. He basically said Disney could fire him, and he wasn't going to do it. Like, and he, from what I heard, like, I don't know if he's going to ever come back as Drax. He might, and maybe he won't be for a long time. But basically, what happened was Guardians 3 got delayed because DC Warner Brothers was smart and gobbled Gunn up immediately. They're like, and they had him to do the reboot of Suicide Squad. They had him he did the Peacemaker TV show, and then he went back to do Guardians, and then during that time period, they announced that he's basically the Kevin Feige of DC.
Yeah.
And which is interesting, because I feel like what's going to happen is there's all these movies that are coming out that really don't have his stamp on it, because they were already making these before they hired him. I think there might be like some adjustments here and there that he's going to make, but like overall, the movies were done. Like, there might be like 5% of change they could do,
Right.
And I feel like it's like, let's say the Flash movie isn't good, like, he's gonna get blamed for it. I think people.
Oh, it's gonna be good though.
There's gonna be. I think so too. It looks awesome. That Flash movie looks sick. I feel like it doesn't matter though. People like don't care if James Gunn's the face of DC. They'll just blame him. Like I said, like, there's a lot of those trolls that are still out to get him, because the one thing about Gunn is he was very outspoken about Trump. Very outspoken.
Yeah.
And I think they targeted him because of that. And ever since he came back, he basically doesn't tweet anything political anymore. Which, I mean, whatever. But they put a target on him, but I think it's lame that Disney took the bait. So because of that, Guardians 3 ended up being delayed by 3 years. Like, it was supposed to be the first movie out of the gate after. Now, I think the reality is that like Spider-Man's weird. Like, that one came out pretty quickly after Endgame. But because it's like Sony, I don't know if it counts as like it's part of the phase.
Yeah, seems like half and half.
Regardless, they were going to release Guardians like 2 or 3 years ago. So, but I don't, watching the movie, I don't feel like it's all weird and out of place. I will say the one thing that I can see, the one complaint people have about Phase 4 is that it doesn't feel like we know where anything's really going. Like, we know Kang's like going to be a big villain. Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
Everything going on. Well, that guy is going to be in Loki season 2. They can't reshoot that.
It's done deal.
But I always say, like, Kang, if you got a guy who there's Kang variants, different timelines, why can't Kang just be played by somebody else?
Yeah.
People want what's his face to play Kang, actually.
I've heard a lot of people.
The guy from Guardians 3.
Yeah, the High Evolutionary.
Yeah, they're like, why not reveal that the High Evolutionary is a variant of Kang. I mean, the joke is I felt like the one thing is like his outfit doesn't look that far off from Kang, which is it looked like the comic, but at the same time it didn't. They decided to like go with a more purple scheme in the comics. It's more like magenta and silver. And they went with this color, and this color ends up making him look a little bit more like Kang. So I'm wondering, like,
Could be.
Feel like they could just be like, yeah, Kang, this is another variant of Kang, and have this guy just be the villain. He's great.
I've heard a lot of people advocate for that. I've heard a lot of people say the actor who plays the High Evolutionary is great. I wonder, like, can you build an entire villain arc around an evolutionary who is high all the time? Was that like a key part?
Oh my god, he was constantly on the ganja the entire
always
movie.
hitting the bogs.
He's like hold on a second, I got a dab, and then
yeah,
you know, he did a mighty puff.
Mm-hmm.
He talked to Rocket,
right? And then like I heard his theme song, his entrance music was Because I Got High.
That was every
too. time.
Yep, so. The High Evolutionary.
Yeah,
they really lived up to that title. They were going to. You know, this character played by, let me get his name. He was great in Peacemaker. He was like the leader of the group who was revealed to be the whole time a butterfly.
Yes, he was an alien in disguise. He was being controlled by an alien the whole time.
Yeah, like he was a different character. His name is Chukwudi Iwuji.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think like what else he's been in. Besides Peacemaker and you know, Guardians. I mean, he's been in a bunch of other stuff, but man, that's like, I mean, he was like in Dynasty in 2019.
Yeah, I looked him up, and I didn't recognize him from anything else really that I had seen.
Yeah,
he was great in Peacemaker. He was really good.
He's great in this. Like I said, like if they wanted to, they could just say like the whole time that the High Evolutionary was a variant of Kang. That would be believable. Like, and then just have him. You know, if they have an issue with, you know, if they have an issue with John Boyega, not John Boyega, that was another name floated around as a possible replacement.
Right, and he would have been fine. This one is John Majors.
Yeah, like just get this guy to like take over the role. You know, I don't know if it would confuse the audience, but whatever. It's kind of like they're not easily confused or anything.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. But from what I understand, the High Evolutionary was really good in this. I think it'd probably be a good natural fit. And the Marvel universe is built in a way that you can kind of do that.
But he might be like James Gunn guy, so there's a good possibility that he'll end up playing another role in the DC universe movies, you know?
Yeah, true.
Play a different character. So who knows? But you got to see like Rocket's origin.
Yeah.
Probably one of the saddest things in all the Marvel movies.
Yeah, it's basically like an animal experimentation place, right?
Well, he's like experimenting, you know, he's literally like the name evolution, and he's like he experiments on things, and he was doing this one thing. He had like different phases, and one of them was like whatever stage Rocket was part of. And then there was like the other stage, which was like the Animen in like I forgot what they were called, it some Earth, counter Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And he creates this world where it's like it's almost like think of like Island of Dr. Moreau, but like affected. And then he has plans for the next stage of like whatever, where I guess they look a little more human and even more human. And like, you know, Rocket and his little friends, they're all like, there's like a walrus with like giant wheels like attached, and like the Phyla, which is like his love or whatever. She's an otter. She has these like cyborg arms, and like the rabbit has like weird spider legs and a weird thing. And they think that they're gonna get to go to the next world or something like that, because like the Masters says that there's gonna be the next, that's the next stage, is gonna create a world.
Yeah.
And he talks to like spoilers, talks to Rocket, and he tells him like, you guys are not part of this.
Yeah.
You guys are disgusting. Like you're the guinea pigs. Like and it's super fucked up. Yeah, the whole thing. Like I don't want to ruin it too much. It's just pretty amazing. I think Rocket's an even better character now that you know more about him. Like he's definitely a more like, it's just crazy how they're able to like have some of the best performances in like any comic movie be delivered by like a CGI cartoon character.
Yeah.
Like the details amazing. and the voices by Bradley
Bradley
Cooper.
Cooper. Yeah.
And James Gunn's brother does all the movements. Sean Gunn, who also plays Kraglin in the.
Right.
But I was just shocked to see, like, I was like blown away by it. Everyone's good in it. Again, this might be a spoiler, but like, everybody was thought like Gunn was gonna kill off like half the cast. And that's the furthest that you already knew that, right? You
Yeah, that's
spoiled that for yourself. They didn't do that.
I assumed that like one or two characters would die. I thought like Drax would die because he's expressed that he doesn't want to come back.
Yeah. I think what they did was they basically did a thing where if they want to bring back the characters or if there's a reason to bring them back for something, they will. Like Mantis, she ends up going off on her own.
Mm-hmm.
She's never really been her own thing. Like she's been like kind of like you find out in the Christmas special that she's Star-Lord's sister, because she was like half sister. Ego was her dad, but he used her as like a slave. That's why he didn't kill her, because he used her powers, because he killed all the other children. That's what we find out in Guardians 2, with all like the mountain of skeletons and shit.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Like Star-Lord could be the one that he kills too. And he kept her alive because her powers were really useful. And then like, so she kind of like decides to go off on her own. Drax kind of like, they kind of make him like they retire him. Like he becomes like, again, I don't want to ruin like the plot or too much, but basically they put him in a situation where it's like, he's not going to be doing Guardians of the Galaxy work anymore. Like he's going to stay and chill. They had all these characters, Warlock was awesome. I mean, I'm sure some people think he's silly, but Warlock is an incredibly weird, silly character in a way. Very convoluted origin, like took many issues to find. Like he first appears in like Fantastic Four in the 60s, but it's just like a cameo. He's like a cocoon, shows up and Thor fights him. And he wasn't even Warlock yet, he was him. And then he becomes Adam, and then he becomes Adam Warlock. And it's just it takes years to like develop this character. Like he shows up in like the mid to late 60s in Fantastic Four, like a year later in Thor, and then he doesn't show up for like another 2 or 3 years until like maybe even longer, until like early 70s. And he's and he's played by that guy. That guy's great. I thought that was great casting, because he's like the last person you would ever think would play this character. Why my phone not working? Let me see if I can find it. He was like in Meet the Millers. He was like the nerdy kid that Jason Sudeikis movie where he pretends to have like a family. Remember that?
Yes, I do remember that. Adam Warlock, gosh, who was he? Will Poulter.
Yeah, that guy. Like, he was in that episode of Black Mirror, the Choose Your Own Adventure one. He's like the guy who takes the acid and then jumps off the building.
Yeah.
Like he's like the last guy you would think. He got all buff and shit, but it's still kind of funny that it's this guy.
Right.
So you get like, in the end, there's like a new team. There's still like Rocket remains and Groot remains, but like Star-Lord, like, do you know what happens to Star-Lord? I don't want to ruin it.
He goes back to Earth, right?
Okay, yeah. He decides to take a break. And he finds out his grandfather is still alive.
That's right.
Tell him, like, basically, when you got taken away, when you were abducted, that was the night your mother died. Your grandfather basically lost 2 people that day.
Right. Okay.
And he finds out that he finds out in the movie that it's possible that his grandfather's still alive. And in the movie, he's just like, the after credit scene's awesome. He's just sitting there eating like breakfast with his grandfather's reading the paper. And it's like so just like boring. So but it said in the end Star-Lord will return. So even if they're not gonna like retire that character as long as Chris Pratt will do it. I could see him showing up. They probably won't have him show up to like the Avengers or something,
Yeah. Well, all
I thought
these
that
characters,
was cool, and it's kind of cool that have him go home. It was great. Like they just had like good like character moments for everybody. It was very Rocket heavy. But I'm glad with that. It was some of the best stuff in any of the Marvel movies. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I know I liked all the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. They're kind of like a surprise for me. When I first heard them talk about Guardians of the Galaxy, I really thought that's when like Marvel was going to jump the shark. I just couldn't get in my head how they could do a good job with like the tree and the raccoon. And I mean, I saw it and I was like really blown away by how good
after
it was.
seeing like Avengers and stuff like that, and I'm doing a pretty decent job of getting all these characters together, and then them showing Thanos in the end.
Yeah.
All right, they're serious about this. They're like,
I just thought it was going to be.
They're bringing Thanos in as the villain. Then they're going to be doing some real comic booky shit.
Yeah,
like the Infinity Saga and everything like that, and it worked. I mean,
it did. You know? Well, so, I liked it. I'm looking forward to it. Quantum Mania comes out on Disney in like a week or so.
Yeah.
So I might.
This is definitely better than Quantum Mania. I think Quantum Mania got way too much shit. Like, I feel like it was not fair. Like, it wasn't like, it was by far not the best Marvel movie. I could see like how some people would be like complain and say like there weren't really any stakes, like
right.
Kill like Hank Pym, like that'd be a perfect, what's his face doesn't even want to really do him anymore because he's like old. Michael Douglas, he's like, right. I don't even want to really do this. So like, that could have been a great moment where like if like Kang killed. I can see why people would say like, they felt like, wait, he got bitched out by like Ant-Man. I mean, like in theory, not really, but he did, and that's supposed to be your Thanos character. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it ruins the character. I get to see from other people why they would complain.
Yeah,
but they felt like that movie had like a like people were like planning to attack that movie. It was strange.
Yeah.
Like
it did feel like a setup.
Like very targeted. This one, like I feel like people know they can't because Guardians 1 and 2 and their appearances in the Avengers movies has solidified them as like awesome. And
that's their bona fides for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. And we'll see. I mean, I know. Imagine like these so-called like right-winger stuff, like they have to like them. They can't hate this movie. Like, but they want to hate it.
What a miserable existence. Like trying to look to external cues as to whether or not you can enjoy something. Like you have a checklist, like if you can enjoy it.
Yeah, it's complete bullshit. It's so stupid.
So
I don't know. I mean, I think the next thing the Marvel releases is Secret Invasion. I think it's in the end of June.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds right.
That's the next big thing. And then movie-wise, I don't think there's any. The only other movie is the Marvels.
Yeah. When does that come out?
That comes out in like November, I think.
Okay. Sure.
I'm trying to think like what else, if there's something else. Oh, well, there's Spideyverse, even though that's not really considered part of the MCU, but like that comes out in June. I'm trying to think if there's any other Marvel release. If there's any other shows, it might just be Secret Invasion this year. I don't think there's any other. Loki is supposed to be mid-year, so that's the other big thing.
Yeah,
I like Loki a lot. I thought Loki was awesome.
Loki was great. I thought.
I've been rewatching the What If series with my son. He wanted to watch it.
What'd you think?
Well, his favorite ones were like the Party Thor one.
That was pretty funny. Yeah.
And the I think he liked the Captain Carter one a bit. And what was the other one I showed him?
Maybe the zombie one. Do you like that?
He hasn't watched that one yet. He watched another one though that was kind of. What is it?
I thought the Captain Carter one was really good.
It's the second episode. It's the one with T'Challa with the Guardians. That's
I did not love that one. That was fine.
It was okay. What I liked about it, though, was like how him being Star-Lord, like how it just totally changed the course of the galaxy.
Yeah.
With, Thanos just being this like guy who just sits around and comes up with his stupid ideas and doesn't actually follow through with them, and like Nebula kind of gets to be like what she should have been. Like she's only been experimenting on a little bit. Like she only has like a little bit of metal around her eye.
That's right. Yeah.
Her dad stopped, and he came like kind of like a well-adjusted. Like they'd sit around and he talked about his wacky idea.
Right.
Like, well, it's efficient. Like he's just some douche that appears on like podcasts with like bad takes, but he's not like enacting them. He's just like, hey, man,
that was kind of clever.
He hangs out the high evolutionary. smokes a big fat blunt with him, because
God, right.
I am evolutionary. And he's like, great, man. What would really fix this
Yeah,
universe? I got this
coin
idea.
toss.
Get rid of half the population. Dude, that's genocide. No, man, it's not. It's not because it's
Right.
random. No one's getting,
You do it randomly.
they do it randomly. There's no one, no one's better. I like though how it worked out though for the Avengers where the original core members lived in the snap.
Mhm.
So it wasn't that random.
That's true.
Like
That
the
is true.
original core members stayed alive, like everyone except for Scarlet Witch. Not Scarlet Witch, Scarlet what's her name?
Not Black Widow.
Black Widow, yeah. Yeah, because she got
Was it
killed.
Black Widow? Oh, that's right.
No,
Yeah.
she was alive. She lived.
No,
she
she
died
was.
in the Endgame. So yeah, she survived the snap.
Mhm.
Yeah, she got killed in the Endgame movie. Never mind.
That's
All right.
right.
So yeah, go see Guardians if you like Guardians 1 and 2.
Yeah, I'll go
Like
see
3.
it.
Is it better than the other ones? I don't know. I was like watching them, like it is a bit like I wouldn't say it's like exhausting, but I'm trying to think like does it have a lot of like repeat value? I mean, I'll wait till it hits Disney Plus again and
Yeah,
but
I'm assuming it'll be worth seeing on the big screen. So
yeah, I think definitely. It's definitely one of the better looking and I think the problem is supposedly with Ant-Man it suffered being like kind of a COVID movie, and I'm also wondering again, like, is James Gunn just a better director than Peyton List, who I think that's the director. I don't know. I think he commands he has a more solidified style, and he probably commands more he demands more for because those movies are proven commodities. Like a joke is Ant-Man, they never were like Marvel's biggest money makers.
right.
Movies were like kind of, I mean, they would do better than most movies, but they would never, I don't think they even fall in like the top 20 money making movies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think Ant-Man Quantumania might be considered their big, well, I think Eternals might be the one that takes the, I always think about, people are like pissed at Marvel because it's like, oh, what the hell? There's this big thing happen in Eternals with the freaking hand and head coming out of the water, and you're just gonna ignore that. And the joke is like it got brought up in a blurb, and if you read a newspaper, it was in She-Hulk.
Oh yeah,
there's like a little blurb about it. What's up with that hand in the Antarctic? Supposedly, I think that's people will go. It might change people's opinion on the Eternals movie. The plot to Captain America, A New World Order, which is the one with Falcon as Captain America. I have a feeling they might bring Chris Evans back, or I could see him being in a flashback or something.
Sure, yeah.
Supposedly it's like an arms race to mine and collect the material. From the from what were they called again? Those fucking, they're not the Sentinels. Those are the X-Men.
Yeah, not the gosh, what were you're talking about the Eternals villains?
Yeah.
What were they called?
They even were mentioned in the Guardians movie, and they made a small appearance in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh yeah, they're in that scene where Thor and Jane fought together.
Celestial. Let me tell you what I love about it is like in Guardians of the Galaxy, the first movie, when the Collector talks about the Celestials and they showed that, I remember people like, holy shit, like they're going deep in. I mean, they're showing you a Celestial, even though it made a small appearance. The fact that it looked straight up like a Kirby drawing.
Yeah.
And then in Love and Thunder, they're kind of like, it was like almost like a gag. They're like on the outside of the God world, kind of peeking in. But like in Eternals, they look like fucking like Bionicles. They didn't look, I don't know. I didn't like the design of the movie. I thought it didn't, like, especially those costumes, like in the original series being so colorful, and they just made them so muted. Like, the saturation just like 10-20% more. It won't be as silly as the comic, but at least you'll probably sell more action figures.
Right, that could be.
So supposedly that's the plot of this Captain America movie, and like Thunderbolt Ross is now going to be played by Harrison Ford. I don't know if this movie. He might, and that's the rumor that he's going to become the Red Hulk. But supposedly that's the plot I heard, is that it's about like kind of like an arms race where they are mining. And the thing is, the material that is on the Celestial.
Mhm.
This is how they bring adamantium into
Oh, okay.
Adamantium is the thing that makes Wolverine's
Yeah,
claws.
his claws. Yeah,
Yeah, even
or
though you
skeleton.
find out he had claws later. He had bone claws.
That's right. Yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah, go ahead. What?
no, I was gonna say that'll be good. That would be a nice little tie-in. Make the Eternals movie a little more
Yeah, I
relevant.
mean that's the problem is like people I think expect these movies to be way too episodic when in reality like the way these movies work, it's like it may not be acknowledged for like 3 or 4 years
Right.
for the next movie or the next Disney Plus show, or the next sequel to that movie.
But they'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's if you're gonna just say that Eternals didn't happen, but in the movies, you have to like you just in comics you get away with bullshit like that. Comics you can get away with that where no one cares. If they're not reading that book, they're never gonna know,
Right.
especially if it's like a low print run or whatever, like who cares? Unless a writer decides to grab that and put in their story. But in the movies, it's like different. Everyone, like most people are watching a lot of the movies. And I think the one big thing, and we'll move on right after this. I think the one big thing that I could see as a complaint, I love it. I eat it up, so I don't really care. But I could see to your casual viewer who did not read comics, never really cared about these things until they saw like Iron Man and the Avengers. Fatigue. I get it. There's so much to consume, and especially when you find out like, wait, I have to watch like 9 episodes of She-Hulk.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Is like when I first saw the new phase of Marvel coming out, and it was going to focus on Kang. I was like, mother, now I got to like read articles, and I got to, because I had heard the name. I couldn't remember any.
Kang is a funny villain because like I never, as a kid, I hated that character. I always been like, I hated time travel. I always felt like his character was like convoluted. Really didn't read the Avengers that much. And I feel like later on I appreciate more just because of how crazy the character actually could be. And I feel like in comic form it didn't work, but like on TV and movie, I could see it being like they do it right, they can take it to the next level. All right. Speaking of taking it to the next level,
right?
Actually, starting on something gross.
Weird transition.
All right. Yeah. Speaking of taking the next level, the one thing the gun culture in this and the United States has no problem taking things to the next level. Unfortunately, there was a mass shooting in Texas, not far from where I used to live and where you currently live.
It's
not that far.
It's not far. It is. I would say. I looked it up. I want to say it's about 20-25 miles, which
it's not far.
Yeah, oh no, it's weird. Like my dad was asking me where it was in relation to where we are, and I've lived in some places where 20-25 miles is just the next town over. It's real close. Here there's like a lot of suburbs kind of packed in pretty tightly, so I've never been to this place. I've never traveled through. I mean, like it might as well be on Mars, as far as my day-to-day living goes. But
right. But
it's not. It's very close.
And go ahead.
From what I understand, and probably one of the reasons that you're seeing a little action here is it was in a relatively wealthy area. It was in a reasonably wealthy area, not like in the inner city or whatever. And so when people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area were like, oh, wow, there could be a mass shooting at one of the upscale shopping malls we go to, that really resonated with a lot of people,
And so some psycho killed 9 people, and I guess 5 or 6 were injured. Some more serious than others. And like you hear all these horrible stories, like one of them's like picked up this kid thinking like to resuscitate him and find out like the kid's face was blown off.
Yeah, it's really
another story where like the kid, like mother or father, I don't know the full details, but like they basically shielded their kid, huddled over them, and they were dead.
Yeah.
Kid survived, but like it's just so fucked up. Of course, find out the guy's a fucking Nazi.
Yeah, I mean, like a legitimate.
Like, oh, he's what?
Like a legitimate full scale.
Like he had like swastika tattoos.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's Hispanic. How could he be a Nazi? Dude, there's tons of Hispanic Nazis out there. Like, that's a fact. Like, South America? Come on, really?
Yeah, right.
And I worked with somebody who I found out had a fucking swastika tattoo, and they were Latino. You know what I mean? Like these people, like they Nazism isn't just like strictly white German.
Right.
It's an ideology, and it's like a death cult. And I mean, I'm sure there's black Nazis. There's Jewish people who like are self-hating and like Nazi shit. I mean,
Yeah.
on average, the majority of
No,
people are
sure.
usually going to be white, but it is it's like what is it like the Proud Boys? We heard about that. A lot of them got charged for sedition recently, which was
Yeah.
awesome. They would always say this bullshit like, oh, how they racist? They have like,
Enrique.
three black
Yeah.
members, Enrique, and like maybe like one Asian guy. They'll let you in, but they have a rule that basically decrees like you have to acknowledge that the country and everything was found by white men. You cannot oppose the hierarchy of white people or anything like that. So it is still inherently
Yeah.
racist. They'll let
It's
you
like
in, but you have to be basically subservient to them. Like
it's like Tom Hayden joining the mob in the Godfather movies as an Irish guy. Like they'll let him in, but he's not going to become like a made man or anything.
and they're not going to all of a sudden have like 10 more.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. There are people in kind of like marginalized populations or oppressed populations that join those movements for a lot of really complicated reasons. At the end of the day, you really don't have to overthink it. If a dude has a swastika and an SS tattoo, he's a Nazi. I mean, you don't have to like dig too deep into his backstory.
I don't give a shit if he claims he's like, I'm like, I don't care. Like, unless it's Alvarez or something. It doesn't
you don't need like a sociologist chiming in on this one.
Nick Fuentes is Hispanic. That guy who's like a Groiper Nazi, the one who was like going on tour with Kanye. I mean, fuck, Kanye is a Nazi. He's a fucking Nazi. He is. He loves Hitler. He pushes their ideology or whatever he thinks it is. Fucking Nazi. I don't care. Like, he said he repeats the same thing. He wants to kill the Jews, or not. I don't know if he said he outright wants to, but when you say you like Hitler and you're excusing for what all the things, then that basically makes you okay with it.
Well, this Allen shooting in a lot of ways is just like any other shooting in that like it was a terrible thing in which a person had a hold of a gun, AR-15, killed a bunch of people. It was just a terrible thing. But you did see a few glimmers of maybe movement in Texas. And I want to say in the Texas House, they passed through the House, not through the Senate, a bill raising the age limit to buy AR-15s from 18 to 21.
They did? Did it go through yet? Did Abbott sign it?
No, it goes through the House and then it has to be reconciled in the Senate and then it goes to Abbott.
They're not going to do it. They're going to hope that enough time passes.
A lot of people are saying it won't even get past the Senate. Abbott will never even have to decide. But
Abbott is such a piece of shit. Didn't he make some bullshit and said that it goes against because there was another mass shooting not too long ago in Texas, believe it or not, and he said some bullshit. They were like, well, why don't you raise the age? And he's like, I can't do that. And it's like, bullshit. You're the one who you lowered it. He lowered it during this motherfucker has been governor for almost a decade now. Next year, he'll be governor for a decade. Gun deaths have gone up since he's been governor. Like, they probably quadrupled since he's been governor. Like, this guy has done more to exacerbate this problem than help it in any way whatsoever.
It's weird.
He's here to acquire weapons. Like, there's a tweet people found from like 2015 where he's like, come on. I think we're like California having like
he said let's buy more guns or something.
Yeah. People were like, tweet up and
it's weird. I know like mass shootings get a lot of the attention and they should because they're terrible. But like gun deaths are just so prevalent and so like ingrained in our culture now. I remember I sent you a story. Some guy in Louisiana shot a girl because she was playing hide and seek and like hid behind his shrubs or something.
Yeah.
And now look, you in today's modern age, like you should, even though it's bullshit, you should tell your kids like, hey, don't play in the crazy guy's yard.
We used to go in people's yards all the time when I was little.
Oh yeah, me too.
The only thing we ever had to really worry about was if they had a dog.
But the big problem is that Republicans have done two things here. They've wound people up and told them that they need to be terrified of everything.
Yep.
You need to be scared of schools. You need to be scared of Bud Light. You need to be scared of
kids,
trans people.
Drag queen story hour. Oh my God.
You need to be scared of all these people because they're coming to get you. And then at the same time, they've given all those people that they've just scared tons of weapons. Right. And that's like those two things together are just like fucking bananas. Like I don't, and they'll come and say like, well, gun control wouldn't stop the mass shooting. Okay, maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. But like gun control would have stopped that guy from shooting a kid on his yard. If that guy knew like, hey, if I shoot someone, I got to go through some stuff. You know, I got to, the police will come out and question, you know, there might be a consequence. He wouldn't have shot, you know.
The argument of the idiots who say things like, oh, we have to do something with mental health. One, they're lying. They don't give a fuck. Yeah. They cut off all any funding for healthcare. They make it really difficult for people to get mental health is like in reality is like a luxury. It's like dental in this country.
Oh yeah.
You know, you may have healthcare, but you might not have dental, which is bullshit. Dental should be part of healthcare. Like it's
even if you have healthcare,
heart problems can be linked to plaque and tartar in your mouth. Like you could gets in your bloodstream and shit. You know,
it is crazy.
But mental health too. And then the other thing, the retort immediately should be like, okay, I agree. We should do something about that. But we should also maybe make it harder for people, because if we have so many insane people in this country, as you were claiming, sometimes these people aren't crazy. They're not classically, you know, they're nuts, but they're not schizophrenic. They're not bipolar. They're not any of that. Sometimes they probably could use like a vacation or like some therapy, but like usually they're not mentally ill. Like a lot of them try to claim. Sometimes they are. Whatever. Point being, though, regardless if they are or aren't, maybe the quickest thing we can do is make it harder for people to get guns.
Yeah.
I'm saying how long, but maybe like, hey, you know what? You need to take a course on proper handling of a weapon. The weapon you want to buy, or you want a handgun, you have to take a fucking 10-week course on how to use a handgun. You want to buy an AR-15, you need a special license, and you need to pass a test before they'll even let you look at one. You want to have any of those type of weapons, you have to take a psych evaluation. Are you on any kind of medication? Are you going through anything? These are all reasonable things. Hey, you could get your gun, but like the access should be cut off to people who are angry and are, you know, because that, you know, when they say like, if this person just cooled down maybe for a day, they maybe
right.
Now, some of these psychos plan things for months, and that's just.
No, but you're not, you're not talking about eliminating gun violence. You're
like the guy who wants to shoot up his office or something like that. You know,
these things in the United States, with the number of guns we have and the Second Amendment, you're not going to eliminate gun violence, but you can definitely get a hold of it. You know,
people don't need AR-15s. These were not available years ago. This is a new phenomenon for the past like 20 years.
Yeah.
These things were not available for a time being. Like, I'm not against someone owning a shotgun. I
don't love it, but I'm not against it.
I'm not against someone owning a handgun either. I mean, like, I would prefer not to go into a house with guns, but like, I'm sorry, you don't need a fucking Uzi. You don't need a AR-15. You don't need these things. You know, the joke is, you say, well, why not let them have a tank?
Right. Yeah. Or a surface
where does it stop? Yeah. Why can't they have a rocket launcher too? Like, I mean, fuck it. Who cares? Like, some of these weapons, like, can tear apart a person just as
easily,
quickly as like a rocket launcher would. I mean, like, it's so stupid. It's like exhausting talking to any of these cretins, because the thing is, any of these people who are like gun nuts are the ones who, those are the psychopaths, because you cannot meet in the middle with these people.
Well, that's the thing. You're
gonna have to make sure to elect people that are willing to put in real laws that prevent. And of course, these jackasses will say like, laws don't work, bad guys will still get guns. Well, I don't know. We have open access to everything. And it seems like lots of bad guys get guns.
Yeah.
Guess what? You know what? They put a law in. First year, we're probably still going to get all those mass shootings. But I bet you within 5 years, you will see the number drop.
Oh, yeah.
Put back a buyback program. Hey, we'll give you like $200 for your fucking gun. And the person can be like, hey, I only paid 100 for this. Here you go. I made a profit.
Right.
You know, like, dude.
Now I can buy 2 guns.
What? Now I can go buy 2 guns. Yeah. The new model's out, and I can get 2 of them. No, but the point being is buyback program, like any of those type of things. But the problem is this country is run half the country, and probably a handful of Democrats are in the pocket of the gun industry. They are lobbyists for the gun industry. Greg Abbott is a gun industry lobbyist. Ted Cruz is a gun industry lobbyist. Ted Scalise, and I've talked about this before on this podcast many times. This man had the whole side of his body blown out.
Steve Scalise,
somebody with an AR-15. I think he uses a colostomy bag. I'm almost positive he needs it.
Ugh.
He will remember for the rest of his life the injury, and he has done more to help make guns more available.
Yeah.
Why? Not because he thinks like, oh, after my shooting, I feel like people need to protect themselves. Dude, you were playing fucking baseball. So you're telling people that anyone who's playing baseball, they have to have a gun strapped to them? And just because you have a gun doesn't mean you're not going to get killed. It's such a stupid. And the one thing I'd always hear these jackasses too, the one thing they love to do, like at the mall where this Nazi shop everybody. Mm-hmm. So I posted something about it and I got some insane comments. One of them was like, it's a gun-free zone. I'm like, what are you saying? Oh, because it's gun-free. I'm like, dude, Texas is an open carry state. None of it is gun-free. I don't give a shit if one store claims that this is a gun-free zone, the mall claims. It is an open carry state. There are no gun-free zones in an open carry state. That bullshit. So what you're saying then, Chud Logic, that if people were allowed to walk around the mall, then they would stop this killer. And that's bullshit. Bullshit. They would probably end up shooting more people.
At the mall.
Do you see that one video I sent you on TikTok where the guy like has a gun with him at Starbucks? Starbucks, and the girl has it, and then of course the black guy gets arrested by the cop.
I'm surprised that hasn't happened. And
he accidentally shot a guy.
Right.
It is like it never ends. The real reality is you're going to have to vote for people who have no issue with putting in actual real gun. I don't care. The Second Amendment was made. These weapons didn't exist back then. The people back then were dumb.
They
believed that they were free. They believed in slavery.
It was
why do we have these? Like, that's so stupid. You're supposed to evolve as a society. I'm sorry, but if you are using an iPad or the newest iPhone or whatever, who gives a shit what Thomas Jefferson said? It's so stupid. It's a framework, but like the idea of like they had guns that like shot one bullet. It took 10 minutes to load and clean it.
It's a different world.
The only reason why you probably died from that bullet was because they didn't have freaking like bacitracin or whatever. They didn't have Neosporin back then. You usually just died of gangrene and an infection. That's what really killed you from a gun injury back then. It's so stupid. It like grow the fuck up, babies. I'm so sick of it. These people are like children. Don't take my gun away. It's like, well, I love when they come up with this bullshit story how they have to defend their house and they have to defend it. And I'm like, where the fuck do you live? Live in Kosovo? War-torn Kosovo in the late 90s? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You probably live in the fucking suburbs. It's like those stories we told about like a week or two ago with that jackass who shot that guy who was going to pick up his brother. The psycho that shoots the girl and killed her because she backed up in his driveway for 2 seconds. I mean, like you said, the kid playing hide and seek. Is that girl dead?
I believe he shot and killed her.
Fucking insane. We live in this country is becoming more insane. And the idea that like, we're going to talk about this later, but the idea that like CNN gave this piece of shit an hour and a half of a free propaganda time. This Donald Trump, if he became president again, he's gonna make it even easier to get guns, like because he wants that. Because then more January 6th people will, more of his fascist followers.
Yeah, we'll take to the streets for him.
Yeah.
It is hard. I mean, ultimately, I just looked it up too. That hide and seek kid did not die, but did
Who
get
cares?
shot.
I mean, good. I'm glad, but
Yeah,
like, it's disgusting. It's like
yeah, it is. I don't know what can be done. It does seem like there's some movement, like in the direction. I know a lot of people are just sort of sick of gun violence. I mean, they're tired of it, and I see more and more people comment on it than I used to.
it's like Abbott's gonna have to do something, because at some point you're not gonna have a functional state.
Yeah.
If people can't go to the mall, can't go bowling, can't go to the movies, can't go to a concert, can't go to the supermarket, can't out there, kids can't go to school, you don't have a functioning society. I don't care what the fuck your politics are. I don't care if you are fucking even harder to the right than Hitler. You will not have a functioning society.
That's
you will
the thing,
not be
too.
able to. You could be this right-wing, extreme right-wing piece of shit, but you love to go to comic conventions. Well, guess what, buddy? You ain't going to the one anymore.
Yeah.
You could be like the most extreme hardline, but you want to go to the ball game, just like everyone else, because you're just a regular Joe. Who's also a Nazi. Well, guess what? Now you're not, because they're just not going to have events.
Yeah.
At some point, if this keeps going, within 5 years, it's insane. And the thing that's fucked up too is that the security industry loves this. I'm not talking about people with security guards. I mean, like people who have like metal detectors, or like they get to install now all these crazy things that they didn't ever had to do before. Someone's making money off of that.
Oh, clearly, yeah.
And it's you always find out it's somebody's like friend, whoever the politician was, and
right.
Like I remember going to this was back in trying to think, probably 2007.
Okay.
Maybe then, or may have been even early that. We went to the Statue of Liberty. Maybe it was 2004. And I went there as a kid. And because it was post 9/11, they had the most insane security ever to get into the statue.
I'll bet.
Just to get through the island. It was insane. I mean, I make sense because
right, sure.
But like I said, we're not gonna have a functioning society anymore. So the fact is, and we'll move on to the next thing soon, but this guy, do you know the killer's name?
I don't. I know a lot about him, but I don't remember. They've published his name, but I don't know it.
The one known fact is that he is a viewer of Tin Pool.
Yeah.
And then you say the right was trying to deny that this guy, dude, the guy was a hard right Nazi. I'm sorry, but
initially there's Nazism
is a conservative ideology. The further you go right, the closer you get to Nazism. That's a fact. Just like the further you go left, you go to communism.
Mm-hmm.
The extreme ends of these things. And I always love whenever these idiots try to say that the Nazis were socialists just because they used it in the title of their.
You're right.
And it's like, wait, what do you mean they were socialists? The Nazis killed communists and socialists. They perfected privatization, actually.
Right. I mean, it was called the National Socialist Party, but
I think they did that to get workers on their side.
Yeah, that could be. That could be.
But they were not a socialist party. They were
fascistic
as fuck. They merged, they privatized things. They said that they perfected privatization, actually, before America started really doing lots of it.
That makes sense. Yeah, I can see that.
It's bananas that anytime anyone has that argument, or those idiots who go the Democrats found the Klan. And it's okay, that was how many years ago?
Yeah.
And who are the current Klan members? What do they tend to, if they do vote for a person, who do they usually like the most? Who do they usually like more than the Democrats?
Whose hats do they wear?
So odd. The Dems are the Klan, but they're also, but the people with the racists and love the Democrats. I'm confused here.
Hard to say.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I can't put my finger on it. But yeah, Tim Pool, what did he say? He thought it was funny
Yeah, he said, I didn't think much about it at all. I guess I thought it was funny. Some real dismissive little comment, which was the dismissiveness of it was the insulting part.
He's a piece of shit. He really is. And he's like doubled down since that happened. Like, I feel like I see his tweets and he's just like even further psychotic. This guy Lance from The Surfs went on. He's like he's leftist. And he went on there and they were talking about like trans people. And Tim Pool said the most insane shit I ever heard. First of all, he claims this bullshit saying that the left is pro-genocide of trans people because now here's the logic behind this. Think about this. This is your brain is just gonna get smoother as I explain his logic to you. The Democrats or leftists or whatever are the ones encouraging trans people to lop up their genitals. Again, not true.
Sure.
Therefore, then removing them from the gene pool because they're not reproducing.
Oh, okay.
But the chud logic here is that, okay, so, and Lance brought this up too during the thing. I thought that was good that he did that. Like, he's like, yeah, the left's having less children, and which is, I guess, a fact. That's like idiocracy based. I mean, it's like applauding idiocracy, basically, the beginning of the movie where the smart couple's like planning. And then the husband dies and she's like too old, and then like the other side, the idiots have like hundreds of kids. They're already on to great grandchildren. And they're like breed like rabbits. So they're dumb as fuck. And they're like, I'm gonna fuck both of you. And there's like battling baby mamas and all this shit. And the smart couple basically eliminated themselves from the gene pool because they were overthinking and not having kids. So he's saying like, conservatives are having more kids, religious people are having more kids, and he's doing it in like this real like concern troll way, like he's almost like laughing, like, haha, you guys are killing yourselves. And Lance even said, like, well, those people will have gay people as kids. They'll have people who are trans. He said to Tim Pool, he's like, you can remove all the gay people in the world, they will be back because gay homosexuality is just part of the human spectrum. And, the right likes to play this game. And he was talking about this, like how all of a sudden now there are more gay people than there were before because the ideology, the media and everything, they're pushing this gay agenda.
Right.
And the joke is like, no, there's not all of a sudden magically more gay people. Is that they can come out and be themselves. They couldn't do that 30 years ago, even 20 years ago. So Tim Pool's a fucking idiot. Like he's trying to like do this like laughing like, you're removing yourself from the G pool. It's like conservatives will have children who will become leftists. Just like there will be leftists that will have kids that could become conservative. Does he think that like that's how it works? That a conservative family is gonna have conservative kids only?
I don't know.
That Christian families or highly religious families won't have kids that
outside of
that. I don't care about this. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. It's like when you first hear it, you're like, you don't even know how to respond. You're just like,
it takes you off guard. Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, do you really believe that? Like, these people are part of the human condition.
Yeah, that's
there will
crazy.
Always be gay, bi, trans people. It doesn't, you can think you could kill them all, whatever. It doesn't matter. They will come back in 5-10 years. It is the most dumbest thing ever. You can distinguish your religion. You can kill a whole race of people and do that. That's one thing. I mean, that's what the Nazis try to do to the Jews. Never fully recovered in Europe, the Jewish population from what happened in the Holocaust. Never recovered. But yeah, that guy's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, I would agree.
This guy tries to play this card that he's a progressive or he's a classic liberal. Like he would have the whole time they were talking about abortion, and he says he's pro-choice, but he's not. He's like the whole time he's like talking about how like people are, if you're pushing the lie that people are aborting kids at 8 months, you're not pro-choice. You're full of shit.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that. It's like the only time they're even doing that is because the baby is usually like found to be possibly dead. will
Right.
malfunction and will kill the mother. There's that story we talked about in Florida not too long ago. I think it was last week we talked about that woman who was forced to give birth to a baby that was pretty much DOA. Didn't have kidneys and probably didn't have other functioning organs. And it died in her arms because Florida is a cruel state that doesn't allow people. I don't know.
Yeah. That is weird. Is that like a
What?
Do you see that as getting worse, like worse aggressively?
What do you mean?
The state failing, just kind of like falling apart in these little matters.
I mean, it's going to if you keep
Yeah,
allowing it. I mean, you keep having like people giving birth to like being forced to give birth to like dead babies and shit because again, it's like gun violence, out of control gun violence, and you're not gonna have a functional state.
Yeah. Well, and that Brownsville
what's up with that? I don't really know too much about that one.
I don't know a ton about it. I know that that there was a place in Brownsville, Texas, where migrants would gather. And they were a little unclear. A lot of the articles said that this was a place where they could get transportation. Like, I don't know if they were coming to this place or they were leaving from this place. Some people said there were social services kind of in this vicinity. And a lot of them would congregate here. But long story short is that people knew that this is a place where migrants would be.
And this guy came and it was a guy, I'm assuming?
It was a guy, and if I remember right, he had a Latino name, and he had a big SUV, a Land Rover, I believe, and he plowed into a crowd, and he killed like 7 or 8 people and injured 5 or 6 more.
There's a lot of like Latino people who are anti-immigrant.
Well,
they hate, it's like there's just because they're Latino doesn't mean like, there's so many different people come from different countries.
And
same thing with like Asia. There's like there's hundreds of countries like that with different cultures.
Well, in Florida, you see a large group of the Latino population from Cuba.
Yeah, they tend to be more right wing.
Yes. Whereas like a Latino population from maybe like Puerto Rico or the Bahamas would be more left leaning. You're right. You do see quirks of
there's spectrums of it, but there's people who think like, and again, it's like these schmucks though, like don't realize it's like, at some point, if your sick beliefs become a fact, and let's say the Nazis come back, they're gonna go after you too. If you don't meet their color or whatever, like they don't care how much of a Nazi you are. You're next, dude.
Yeah. Right.
It's a death cult. Like it never ends until there's like nobody.
In the real Fourth Reich, you'll be the first to go. That's what they say. Right after they say Nazi punks fuck off, which is great. Well, so the Brownsville thing, they took the guy into custody, and it's a little unclear as to like the whole thing of it, except again, let's see what this guy's name is. George Alvarez, 34 years old. Said he lost control after running a red light and plowed into a crowd outside a migrant center.
So he claims he didn't intend on hurting them.
Yeah, and there is some legitimate debate as to whether or not that is the case. But again, you've kind of, I mean, if you look at what's happened, let's just say this is negligence and not like, but regardless, you have Republican politicians stirring up fear against immigrants, saying immigrants are bad people, they're here to take your jobs. And you also have laws like Meatball Ron has put into place where it's like, hey, if people are in the street, it's okay to kill them. You can run them over.
Yeah, they're rioting. You're doing your job due diligence to stop the riot.
So right when this happened, a lot of people were like debating, like, is this a crime? Which is crazy. I mean, it's a depressing state where everything the Republican Party says is designed to make people angry or scared and to give them more access to deadly weapons. It's just bizarre. Yeah. It's bizarre. I don't know. But the Brownsville thing, I know that was on our list to talk about. It is a little ambiguous right now, other than the fact that like it seems to be open season on migrants, which is awful.
Well, Okay, so going back to like the gun thing too. Anytime I
Yeah.
hear like this stupid argument people make, they'll say, well, "What about knives and cars? Cars you can
Right.
shoot people with." And it's like, all right, the knives thing is fucking stupid. I always hate that. It's like, yeah, a guy with a knife can come and maybe physically
Yeah.
attack and hurt and kill a couple of people, but they're not going to do the damage that someone who has an AR-15. I'm sorry, they're not
Right.
American. They're not they're not ninja or whatever. It's fucking stupid. Someone with a knife could be apprehended
Right.
quicker than someone with a fucking AR-15.
And also, if you get stabbed, depending on where you get stabbed, it's likely less serious than if you got shot with a
unless they cut your head off.
Right.
But I mean,
Right.
like, yeah, exactly. Would I want to be in a knife attack over a gun,
No.
AR-15? Probably.
Oh yeah.
I would prefer neither. I would
Right.
prefer not to be near any of that. Now the car thing's is fucking stupid because it's like, okay, a knife can be used for many things that don't involve maiming and killing. A knife can be used,
Oh yeah.
you know, prune your hedges. A knife can be used to render
Cut
meat.
your bagel.
Cut a bagel, cut a sweet potato, cut, vegetables, cut meat.
Yep.
It has a multiple purposes that it could be used for.
Yes.
Pretending to be Wolverine with 6 claws,
Yep.
fingers, and you're like, look at me, snickety snickety. You don't do that? Oh.
No. But you're right. And cars
Cars
take you to
serve a
the
purpose.
store.
We need them unless you live in Manhattan.
Right.
We in the United States, the way it was designed to make sure that public transportation is as little as possible, and most cities in this country have poor public transportation. You need a car to get around.
Yes.
That's the main function. Cars, the trucks and everything to get goods and services.
Yeah.
There's lots of
from one
reasons
place
why
to
you
the
need a
next.
car. So but what's the purpose of an AR-15?
Yeah, it's only to kill. That's
What's
the only purpose.
I mean, even a handgun. Because the thing is, if you talk to any normal hunter, especially the ones that claim they only hunt for meat, they're not going to use an AR-15 because they want to use the meat. And they're not going to use it if they blasted it away with a fucking AR-15.
Yeah, right. That's the thing. Yeah, and honestly, most like legitimate sportsmen are usually pretty good about securing their weapons. And
again, and like I said, I brought that up. It's like, okay, let's have comprehensive background checks.
Yeah.
Let's have psychological exams. You have to take a course.
Some red flag
laws. If you want to drive, you have to get a learner's permit. You have to take the test. Then you have to take driving lessons. It should be the same thing.
Right.
And it should be even tougher than a car exam. Because in the end of the day, the main goal of why you want this gun is, it's to kill. Unless you're shooting Bud Light cans in your backyard like Kid Rock. Poorly, too. That guy should probably need to take a lesson on how to use a gun. Supposedly hurt his wrist doing it.
Yeah, that's right.
From the photo evidence from the next day after. So like, it's just a stupid argument. It's a dumb argument. It's like, it's nonsense. Anyone that, again, with all these, every day, they said more people died than there are days this year so far. Like more than that. When they say, no, more than there'll be a year, like 800
I believe
already, 900 deaths from guns. It's fucking nuts. I'm sorry, but if like you're still defending guns, I don't even want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I don't even want to. What's the point? You're gonna correct me and say that an AR-15 is a semi-automatic and not an actual automatic? I don't give a shit.
Right. That's besides.
They'll do that. They'll be like, oh, so you're telling me that? I'm like, I don't care. I'm not a dork. I'm not a gun dork. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, it is depressing.
Can it still blow off a child's face? It's just, it doesn't matter. It's just,
yeah, that's no good.
It's just fucking stupid. It really is. Speaking of another horrible thing.
Yeah.
Today's just horrible things.
Yeah, it was are you talking about Trump?
No, we didn't get to that. This is the subway attack.
Oh shoot, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
So I don't know what happened last week. It's kind of funny. Last week we talked about that idiot who like grabbed the girl and started swinging her around at a fucking like TJ Maxx or something. that
Right.
schmuck. And then literally like that night after I saw like news where this like black dude who's like a homeless man, he dresses up like Michael Jackson sometimes, but I think
Right.
he like completely off his meds or whatever, and he or probably doesn't have any meds, and he was like hungry and everything, and he was just erratic, and I guess was just I don't know the full details if he was harassing
Right.
people. I don't think he was physically it's probably just like any other homeless person in New York City.
I heard he was like mildly harassing people, which in my head is like he was probably making unwanted contact with people and then letting it go.
Yes, but that doesn't warrant what happened to him.
Oh no, of course not.
I know you don't agree. I know you agree with me on this.
Yeah.
So
no, but
three assholes from Long Island restrained him, and the one dude literally put him in like a UFC headlock with his legs and killed him. Fucking killed the guy. He's dead. And the right starting to act like, of course, the right, Tim Pool and all these jackasses are trying to say this guy's a hero. This black dude was this horrible person. And like, I saw this one cartoon. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Where like Hitler is doing the moonwalk. Oh, look, he's moonwalking and you can't hurt him. And it's like, what? That's so stupid. It's like you're comparing Hitler to this guy. It's like right? Funny. Like you're trying to downplay this guy's death. Like, I mean, this guy. Okay, so the kid, he was like 24. I think the guy. I guess he's like an ex-Marine or something.
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
This guy should be charged with like at least second degree murder. I'm sorry, you are trained to kill people. Like, why did you kill this guy and not just restrain him until like the authorities came?
Yeah,
or somebody could come and help him. Like again, it's like he was probably more of a danger to himself than anyone else.
Right. That's the thing is, I think you got to look at what precipitated it. From what I understand, this guy wasn't like literally attacking people or anything like that.
And even if he was, let's say he was like punching people, you gonna murder the guy? Who are you?
No, you can't do that.
Are you fucking Judge Dredd? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. There are instances where you can
fucking people from Long Island, man. I'm not kidding you, they're from Long Island.
Yeah. Well, there are some instances where self-defense is, of course, reasonable and justified. I don't know. This one didn't seem like it. I don't.
Restraining the guy is one thing. Killing him is like you're a menace, dude. You're a fucking menace. You killed this guy. You clearly don't know what you're doing. You're acting like you were trying to be the hero and like subdue this guy, but you literally murdered him.
Yeah.
This is scary shit because there's people who are like have that get off their meds sometimes, or people who have like bad days. There's autistic people who like don't know how to like communicate.
That happened in Florida where there's a autistic guy who was non-communicative and the police killed him.
Is that one story? They like choked him. I don't know. This guy could talk the one I'm talking about. It was like a young black dude.
Yeah, the one you're talking. Okay, yeah. I'm talking about one from like the Miami area.
But they always say like if there's like a person with like autism like freaking out, the last thing you want to do is have a fucking cop show up because they'll probably just shoot him and kill him because they don't know how to handle it. It's just so gross. I think it's disgusting. Like I don't care if this guy was like a real threat, like all these assholes are trying to claim. You don't fucking kill the guy.
Yeah. It seems
like, listen, if he had a fucking like sword or a gun and he was a legit threat and you did something and it ends up killing him, I'd be like, I don't agree, but people's lives were saved. You didn't save anyone's lives here. You just killed the dude.
That's what the law used to be. The law used to be that if you felt like you were in imminent danger or you couldn't retreat, you could defend yourself as you see fit. And then over time, with more guns flooding the nation, I know this one didn't involve guns, but it shifted to you don't have an obligation to retreat and you don't have an obligation to look for other solutions. You can just kill the person. I don't know. I mean, I wish I knew more about this case to give a better informed opinion. But yeah, just like off the top of my head, it seems like there probably could have been a way for this to end with no one dying. I mean, that seems like it probably could have happened pretty easily.
I think this guy deserves to face charges. He does. He killed
Well,
somebody.
I definitely think you investigate it. Like again, like I don't know the specifics. It sounds like from what I've read that this guy was maybe looking to do something, but it certainly warrants investigation. It just sucks. I mean, it's another one where
Well, I
like,
said the other issue too is that this guy is like trained to
yeah,
kill people.
right. Well, yeah. I mean, you wonder though if that's going to be part of his defense. Like, I was in Iraq and I was, I mean, like, I don't know. I could just see him just as
Whatever.
easily. Yeah,
I just
I know.
think he shouldn't be allowed to just go home, is what I'm saying. And like act
Right.
like
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
there
You'd
becomes
have to
some.
come down to the
I
station.
don't even care what this guy's politics are. Like he should still face charges.
Mm.
Like you killed a dude. Like I said, it's like there's people like freaking out. You're just gonna have like random idiots now just murdering people because they feel like they might be in danger. This is no different than
Well,
this is like
that's
the
the thing
Ron
is,
DeSantis bullshit with the cars. Like, yeah, go run over people. Your life is in danger.
well, there are other laws where if you injure someone even accidentally, you can still face charges. Like if you kill a construction worker on the side of the road with your car, you can face charges for that. Even
Yeah,
if
because
it's
it's a person.
even if, well, I'm just saying, like, even if it's 100% an accident. Let's just say you weren't on your phone, you weren't drunk, you were just driving and you weren't keeping your eyes on the road super well or whatever, or for whatever reason, you did it, you can face charges for that. It doesn't have to be intentional.
Yeah.
So it's a similar type of dynamic. If you put someone in some sort of hold and they wind up dead, then you might have done something wrong.
Yeah.
You just might have. If they find out that the guy had like 80 grams of PCP in his blood, then maybe it's a different story. But
Of why he died.
Well, like if like you're like, oh well, I didn't really put any pressure on him. I was just trying to like hold him still, and then he died. I mean, like, again, I'm just speculating, but like you definitely get to the bottom of it, and there are plenty
of like photos of the guy fucking doing it.
Crazy. Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, wow.
I just like I can see the right wing like making this guy into another fucking Kyle Rittenhouse type bullshit.
Yeah.
And whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, these fucking like bridge and tunnel people that come into the city, they want to use this as a playground, then they want to go back to the suburbs after. They don't want to be bothered by homeless people. They don't want to be bothered by that. But you know what? That's part of the charm of New York City. I've been assaulted by homeless people before. I had one guy who wanted money from me one time, and he wouldn't let me go, and he like pushed my face, and I just screamed.
Oh my God.
Then I put him at chokehold and I killed him. And,
right. No.
And Rush Limbaugh gave me like the Medal of Freedom or something. No, I just like
then I had dinner with Kyle Rittenhouse.
Ted Nugent and Judge Schroeder, second helping.
God.
And see you too. Thanksgiving dinner. I just screamed at the guy. I was like, get the fuck away from me. We were in Penn Station.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you stepped in, and he ran away. But he fucking assaulted me, dude. I felt it on my face for like weeks. Just in like, didn't hurt me. It was just more of just like violated. Like,
yeah.
So I was like,
I remember in Florida, I used to go to an ATM to get cash. And there was a panhandler that would like linger like just a few feet away from the ATM. And in Florida,
I hate that in New York.
Yeah, because you clearly
have
the door
open for you. I'm like, oh
yeah.
God.
And one guy got like real close to me, and I just sort of like very loudly said, like back up or something like that, and he went away. But it is unnerving, I mean, like, I don't know.
Well, regardless, is what I'm saying is, you don't kill these people.
No, you can't kill people.
Their life already sucks to begin with, and it's like this asshole comes in and like murders this guy, regardless of how this guy was acting. If he was going to people and like just hitting people or whatever, or just being erratic, I don't know. He deserves to face some kind of charges. I think that's just like, because then you're just basically, it's like Bernard Getz, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You just
Subway vigilante.
You're opening the door for vigilantism. I mean, that again, this is like.
Well, Bernard Getz was, I think he went looking to provoke people. But that's where you go. That's where you get it. So.
Well, again, Trump. We're going to talk about this now.
Yeah.
Segue is You know, he wants the population armed with guns because he thinks the people who will have the guns will be his people.
Well,
He
yeah,
said
and
it. He said, I have the bikers, I have the cops, I have this, I have people with all the guns. He said that during the election.
well, he thrives off of chaos too, and angry people with guns is chaos.
Yeah,
It just is.
we're seeing it in action every day. There's always some story, like you said, someone backing into a driveway, someone ringing the wrong doorbell, someone playing hide and seek and accidentally going in your backyard. It's like these are
I think
all
that's the thing, and I know we're kind of like easily easing into Trump now, and we'll talk about other things before his town hall, but all his message was tonight on the town hall is you should be scared of A, B, C, D, E, F. I mean, you should be scared of immigrants. You should be scared of
your neighbor.
You should be scared of activist Democratic judges. You should be scared of Atlanta. You should be scared of, I mean, it was all this stuff, and Tucker Carlson did that, and Alex Jones did that. They all do it, and they get people riled up, and then they give them guns, and then they sit back and watch this shit happen. And the Democrats have to try to fix these little problems that they've created. And in the meantime, the rich are getting much richer. They're rolling back child labor laws. I mean, it's like this, it distracts everyone from what's really going on. And it's tough. I mean, it's really awful.
It's like shock and awe. It's like chaos.
Yes. Yeah.
The people they don't know where to fight back. Like I was always the joke too with the media. It's like Trump would have like hundreds of scandals and Hillary Clinton would have like one or two that weren't even like true. They were like insinuations, and the media would focus on those all the time. And with Trump, like they couldn't even like if there isn't one, there'll be another one this week, and they just wrote off the whole thing. They let him get away with everything because it was just like the guy was just like a Three Stooges of we're all trying to get to the door.
Right.
It was like so many different scandals, like so much corruption, everything. It's like, and the fact, okay, so today Trump was I guess not indicted. He was not what was it, convicted? He wasn't convicted.
Yesterday. Okay, so yesterday, I think it was, he had a civil case, and there were 3 charges. One was rape, one was sexual abuse, and one was defamation. And E. Jean Carroll sued him for those things, and he was found liable for them. The jury, it's not a matter of like guilty, not guilty, but
he's not going to go to jail for it. It's a civil case.
No, it's a civil case, and the jury found beyond via a preponderance of the evidence that Donald Trump sexually abused or sexually assaulted this woman and then lied about it.
Oh, and cool. It's great that this guy gets to run for president again.
Well, and they deadlocked on the rape charge, which means they're not saying he is innocent of rape. They're just saying, like, look, we can't say for sure whether that happened. And I don't know the difference between rape and sexual assault. I would have imagined that they were similar, but I mean, obviously they're different. But anyway, so they awarded E. Jean Carroll $5 million. And now it's like part of the record. Like you can say legally that Donald Trump is a sex abuser.
He was found guilty of being a sex abuser.
Yeah, so or you can just say he is. You could say on television without any fear of libel or slander.
Republican candidate and sexual abuser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And
Donald Trump is gonna, whenever he has a campaign event, he has to go door to door and tell everybody that he's a sex offender.
Well, another thing you can say apparently is that in future trials you can bring this up. Like if you were just accused of sexual abuse and never found guilty, a judge might say, well, look, that's prejudicial. We're not going to allow you to bring that into testimony. But now that it's been proven true, you can bring it up in future cases. You can say, the defendant here sexually abused a woman and then lied about it. So that calls into question whether or not he would commit a crime and lie about it here. I mean, it is a big deal. I mean, it's not a criminal deal, but it's a pretty big deal. And it's one that won't go away. Now, I did hear a lot of journalists say, like, maybe this will be the thing that caught. I don't think that's the case, especially after watching that Republican town hall tonight. I don't think that's the case.
Wasn't he like, okay, so real quick, this whole E.G. Carroll thing, this was supposed to happen before he ran for president in 2016. I mean, this thing goes back, and the presidency basically saved him from facing any ramifications for this.
Right.
So one of the things, and again, I love this, the right will tell you that Joe Biden is this dementia case, that there's nothing there,
right.
He's a zombie, he's being controlled, he's a puppet, whatever. They'll say all these unfounded things about the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Trump, who literally during this thing was shown a picture. Well, one, he goes a whole long list that says, I don't find the woman attractive, she's not my type.
Yeah.
And he's even like, he's so stupid. He's like talking to the person, like the lawyer that's talking to him, and he's like, you're not my type either. It's like, what, he's 10 years old? Like,
right.
He's such a, like, who watches that? He's like, yeah, that's my man. Like, what a fucking loser. Like, I'm sorry. Like, then the joke was they showed a photo of him with E.G. Carroll.
Right.
This is great. This is either Trump has severe case of dementia, or he's just such a massive liar that this one just came back on him. He's like, who is that? And he goes, that's my ex-wife, Marla Maples. And
right.
Like, oh, no, that's her.
That's E.G. Carroll.
So clearly, she's your type. I thought it was hysterical. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like,
you could tell the person questioning Trump could not believe what they were hearing. And they didn't, it was like seeing a bald eagle land on your lanai. You don't want to spook it away. You just want to like let it kind of like happen there.
Yeah, John Mulaney used to make a joke said Trump was like the horse that walked into a hospital. And he said that the Trump presidency was like the equivalent of like a horse walking into an elevator and starting to walk through a hospital hallway. You don't want to spook the horse. You don't want to, so you just sit back and watch it and hope it leaves.
Right.
And so that's kind of like what Trump is. But I saw that and I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I just, like, it's like, this shit is like comedy. Like, I don't find it attractive at all. She's not my type. Oh, who's in this photo with you? That's my ex-wife, Marla Maple. She's very pretty, very sexy.
Yeah.
Very sexy. Oh no, that's E.G. Carroll. She's very ugly, not my type.
Yeah, it is weird. I mean,
so I guess you said because of tonight, didn't he like double down on the whole rape thing, or like
it was crazy? Tonight's town hall meeting was it was disgusting. I mean, I watched the whole thing.
CNN gave Trump an hour and a half propaganda.
Yeah. And they had Caitlin Collins kind of moderate, and she did a fine job. I don't like her necessarily, but she did a good job.
She said she used to work for Breitbart, so that's
she like got her start at Breitbart. Yeah, so I mean,
not good. I'm sorry. There's lots of news outlets out there.
Yes.
If you go work for Breitbart as your first thing, that's because you are probably politically aligned with them. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's like OAN also. Like, if
they don't give
I'd be like, local.
They don't give their jobs to unvetted candidates. She also had like a series of tweets, like homophobic tweets from a while back that she since deleted.
So she's a Chud adjacent at least.
Yeah. So anyway, Trump goes on, and this is like probably 24, 48 hours after he got found liable for sex abuse and slander. And he specifically got a judgment levied against him for saying that he never knew her and that she's lying. And he gets in the town hall tonight, and all he talks about are things like E.G. Carroll's lying, and this was a setup, and I can't believe, I'm positive she should be able to sue him again. Like, if you libel someone or slander or defame someone and you get found guilty of it and you have to pay up, you can't just keep doing it. Like, that doesn't sound like.
Hopefully it's not this isn't the end of it and she just goes after him again.
Yeah. Well, he's gonna appeal it, they said. What is he gonna do with appeal? She's gonna bring this up again and appeal. You just roll the tape. You know, I mean, you don't even really need to. You just show the judge what he said, and it's all right there. It's bizarre. He was real bizarre tonight. It was at St. Anselm's College.
I don't even want to watch it. I'll probably just see some clips.
I don't recommend watching it. You'll be fine on a few clips.
I saw the one clip when he called the woman who was interviewing a nasty person or something,
and everyone in the crowd cheered.
Yeah, it's disgusting. The fact that this piece of shit could run again after January 6th is just a crime in itself.
Trump is like, Biden needs to cave to all the Republicans' demand to solve this debt limit ceiling thing. And then Caitlin Collins goes, when you were president, you said the president should never negotiate, that it should just be granted to him. And he's like, yeah, I said that. And she's like, well, how is this any different? And he said, and Trump goes, well, it's because I was president. The crowd, he just straight up said that. Well, that's because I was in charge.
He said he's a baby, you know. It's like, again, it's like the kid who unplugs the video game system.
Yeah, the crowd ate that shit
Trump up. There, if Biden has to deal with Trump again, Biden put out a tweet that I thought was great hours ago. I retweeted it, basically saying like there were not fine people on both sides of Charlottesville. The January 6th rioters were not good people. End of story.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever Trump.
Yeah, well, because Trump was saying he'd pardon all the J6ers.
I think Biden should go after Trump because I think the Republicans, you know, especially Ron DeSantis not entered. Like, if he doesn't enter by the end of this month, it's pretty much done.
Yeah, they say he's going to enter, and I believe he will. But we don't know. I mean, like, but I
bet he doesn't yet. It would not shock. I mean, who knows? Either way, I mean, this guy is a fucking narcissistic baby. Like, did you see that TikTok somebody posted? It was Matt Gaetz pitching him, and he was like trying to figure out something about like how to not say something.
How racist. To be likable. Yeah,
he just sounded like a little bitch. Like, this guy is not. He's awful. You know, it's like so funny. And like the other week, last week was Free Comic Day.
Yep.
And it's like a big event around the country, and like the comic stores get free stuff, and they'll have like big sales and stuff. But Jared Paulus in Colorado did an event where Darkwing Duck was there, and he signed something, and it was like a bunch of comic stores that I knew were there. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, that sounds like fun. He's a fun guy. It's like, even if you don't agree 100% with his politics, he's a person who knows how to like engage with people, and like he's like a Star Wars nerd. This guy too, like, you know, he's like, it's like, oh wow, he likes things that people like. He's a likable person, you know. It's like, that's the funny thing about like Ted Cruz too, is that like Ted Cruz, regardless of what you think of him, he loves like pop culture stuff. Like, I probably can hang out with him and talking about like a Marvel movie until it gets like really political.
Right. Yeah.
Stan just seems like the type who doesn't like anything.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he likes sports. You know what I mean? He seems like such a miserable fucking person.
He is not likable. I think that hits the nail on the head. Is he's petty, he's small-minded, he's kind of cruel.
After Disney.
Yeah. Someone and now people are starting to talk about his role in force feeding people at Guantanamo.
Yeah, that came up. We talked about that last week too.
There's a lot of like undiscussed, like no one's really hit him hard on that yet. You know, that's not going to hurt him.
He's a bad person. He's just a bad person.
He's just a shitty person.
Oh my God, he was young when that happened.
Yeah,
he's like a year younger than me. That means, and that Guantanamo shit happened like 2004, 2005.
Yeah,
that would have made him like in his like early mid-20s.
Yeah, he's just a shitty person.
Like, just a shit person, probably since he was like a kid. You know, like, I don't know. Well, regardless, I think Biden, if Trump's not the nominee or not, I think Biden needs to be always on the offense and call out Trump. Call him out. Say that like this man needs to be investigated. This guy is like, is a literal threat to this country and the threat to our society. He is at this point.
I think Biden would be smart to just target Trump and just sort of presume Trump's going to win the nomination. A, because he probably will. And B, because Biden's probably got a best shot against Trump.
Oh yeah.
I watched this thing, and look, I've joked around. I've never I've never wavered in my dislike of Trump, but I've joked around like, oh, Trump's the king of nicknames. That's why Meatball, and I've kind of like played that up. But 5 minutes into tonight's thing, the visceral dislike of Trump just kind of like flooded me. I mean, it was
there. All he does is he has grievances and complain. Well, let me guess. He was complaining about the 2020 election.
That was like the first half hour of the show was him complaining.
Ever went after him?
No.
Could they? Maybe they can't.
I don't know.
They should.
It was brutal though, and then he I could just see now. Look, these people, the St. Anselm crowd, they were he'd joke about sexual assault and they'd laugh and slap their knees, and I mean it was a disgusting group of people.
And these are like the conservative religious people.
Yeah, well, it was all Republican and undecided voters.
Yeah, and undecided as in they're probably Republicans too.
Undecided as in, do I want Trump or DeSantis? That's really what they were undecided in.
Do I want Trump or do I want Trump?
Right. Well, yeah. Do I want Trump or do I want Trump with pudding on his fingers?
No, I mean, like, do they want Trump or do they want Trump? There is no DeSantis. Like, it's just Trump.
Well,
pudding Trump. Do I want Trump or do I want pudding pop Trump?
I'll tell you, man, I can't imagine.
Trump.
He is just Meatball Trump. He's just narrowing his possible path because
they don't need to win the majority of votes. He didn't win a majority of votes since 2000. He could get away. He could win the presidency and lose the popular vote by 12 million. He could.
Yeah.
He could work out that way.
I think that's what he's counting on.
Biden won the popular vote by like what, 8 million?
Yeah.
Fucking Hillary Clinton lost, and she won the popular vote by 3.5 million. Doesn't make any sense.
Well, given all the new laws and everything, I could see Trump retaking Georgia or Arizona and holding Wisconsin and or retaking Wisconsin. I could see Trump winning. I mean, that's not a crazy.
I mean, it doesn't. The only thing I could see is if Biden's team goes on the full offensive. I said this: the only way Trump wins is if the media lets him.
Yeah.
If CNN does another town hall like this again, where Trump's allowed to dictate who is the host and who attends, then fuck that. Like then it's over. The media it is all up to the media. If the media spends even just 10 minutes talking about the Biden son, when there's all this shit about Trump could win. That's the fact. That's
the fact. It's not even a national race. It's like, can he win Michigan? I doubt he'll win Michigan, but can he win?
Can he win Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Could he win Arizona again? Could he take back Georgia? Like, that's it. We know Florida's done. Texas is pretty much done.
Yep.
All the other states are pretty much decided. It's really just these three.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think it needs to be hammered home that Trump is a criminal. I think it'd be great if Biden referred to Trump as a sexual offender.
Yeah, I do too. But I think more so, like, you can say that. I mean, it'd probably be better if like other people were saying that for you.
Constituents say it.
But like, really, Biden should be saying like, look, Trump loves that he overturned Roe versus Wade. And if he's given a second bite at the apple, he'll do worse.
Trump loves that people are getting killed every day. And Trump wants to give the Ukraine over to Russia.
Right. Trump wants more guns.
He wouldn't answer that. I heard that one thing. I didn't see the clip, but supposedly like he was asked about Ukraine and he refused to give like a clear answer.
He said he didn't give a clear answer to any of them. He said, how would you fix the Ukraine? I'd get them at the table. It'd be done in 24 hours. Well, how would you do it? It would be done in
Russia.
Yeah. Like,
and by doing that, it would be Trump would invite Putin over because Putin's his boss.
Yep.
I'm telling you, if Trump gets in another 4 years, it will make his first presidency look like a cakewalk. He'll be like 10 times worse because he'll have more psychopaths working for him. Because like, the so-called adults that he had working, they all lasted only like 1 or 2 years and they all got And only people that he's going to bring in now are going to be like a bunch of George Santoses. It's just going to be all George
Wow.
Santos.
May not be George Santos personally. But
Well, he's not
yeah,
only George Santos. There's also Anthony DeVolder.
yeah, and the Luna woman in Florida.
Now, what's the other alias that
Oh, yeah.
has Kantara, whatever his
Yeah.
queen name.
I
Do you remember that the guy posted like the cast of the Death Boy looks like shit, and it was all four personas of
yeah.
of George Santos.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
is there anything else in this fucking
Nah.
anything else like that was talked about?
I would say that
Did he talk about complain about COVID or shit like that?
He did. He talked about COVID briefly. But the COVID really wasn't a big topic. I will say that since it was a town hall, I think the audience members got to ask the questions, and they were all Republicans. And so
anyone that ask were they all just like, why you're so amazing?
Yeah, they all were. Even the people that were like, it was really bizarre. Like you'd have 19, like it looked like a 19-year-old woman get up there and say like, what are you going to do, sir, about the debt? Like that's
buy my pussy, please.
Right. Like that's, I was just looking at her. I'm like, this can't be like number one on your list. I mean, like, aren't you worried about like, even if you're like pro,
no one knows what the debt ceiling is. No one gives a shit about that.
But even if you're pro like outlawing abortion, you talk about that or something. I mean, like some of the questions were so contrived. The thing that struck me most is like Trump would say really shitty things and these people would like lap it up like fucking starved animals.
It's disgusting.
It was terrible. And this is supposed to be at a school.
Charlie Kirk was like, Biden should go on Fox. And I wrote like,
sure.
The person that interviewed or did moderate it worked for Breitbart. Okay, yeah, Biden could go on Fox, but like I don't know, maybe like have George Wallace isn't even part of it anymore. But have the most friendly, cherry pick or outsource the person they don't work for Fox and fill the entire audience with young Democrats and so-called independent voters.
Yeah.
Will probably vote for Biden. Do that. And yeah, Biden will do Fox. Sure. I mean, it's so stupid. Like, it's like these people don't want you to, they work in such bad faith. You always wonder, like, are they just tricking their audience or is their audience also in on it? Like, yeah, Biden should go on Fox now. Like when they all know that it's complete bullshit.
Yeah. I don't know. Like this thing was just, I will say Caitlin Collins was pretty good. Like I was I don't love her, but she did fact check him. She kept saying over and over again, like, nope,
but they failed by having the audience filled with Trump sycophants.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is it was like it was almost like she was the referee and the crowd was rooting for the heel, and when Trump would go after her, the crowd ate it up even more. I mean, it wasn't, I guess that's another thing is it wasn't a group of people there to learn anything. It really wasn't.
No, it was a Trump propaganda hour.
Yeah. Like a good town hall will have like a person where they're like, I don't like the idea of raising the debt limit. Why should I want to, and then you give the person a crack at it, I mean, like those, they can be done well, but yeah, anyway, that was it in a nutshell. The other the slightly funnier thing that has been going on is George Santos got arrested and he was charged in federal court with like a bunch of crimes.
Well, hold on. Cody Johnson tweeted, wait, did letting Trump talk for an hour go poorly? Supposedly the concerned upper people of CNN are very upset about this.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Bullshit. What did they say? Like the former, I don't know if he's in charge of CNN. He said, and Les Moonves said it too, the guy who was the head of Paramount or whatever, CBS News said like, yeah, Trump's horrible, but he's good for ratings. So we don't care.
Well,
They don't care if the country. They like Les Moonves literally said that like this was back in 2016. He said, "Yeah, Trump would be terrible for the country. Like it's a fact, but the
I
ratings are good."
I wondered if letting I wondered if this was a good thing or a bad thing for our country, letting him talk for an. I'm part of me is tempted to say it's a good thing. Like it was so he went to his worst faults
I would
so
agree
quickly.
with you if it was completely is impartial the right word?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't
Like
think
the
impartial
fact
is the
that
right word,
they
but
allowed the fact that they allowed the audience be filled with Trump sycophants
yeah,
and turning it into a cheer fest for all his bullshit.
right.
It's not good. It's not
No,
good. If they, I would be like, okay, you're gonna have a town hall and you have legit people ask him
yeah,
two questions, and you have a person who did not work for Breitbart.
right.
Then I would say, I don't agree, but this might not be too bad. But but what we saw, not good, not good,
It
not
was
good.
not good.
You
Yeah,
basically you gave this guy like free range on CNN, a network that,
yeah.
and I always find it funny too. I mean, again, when I posted the artwork about the gun shooting, I always get these jackasses leave comments like, "Your brain is you rotted from watching CNN." And I'm like, I
Oh
never
God.
watched CNN. First of all, I wrote like I love the comment like it's amazing how these guys always think the left watches CNN, which is
Yeah.
if anything, it's being pushed further to the right, and with
Oh
this, I
yeah.
think it just cements it. You know, fucking David Zaslav, that guy sucks, isn't he? Like just
Yeah.
straight up, isn't he a Trump donor? Like
A
he's
lot. Yeah. A lot of the. I don't know. I think you're right, but I don't know that.
I mean, I imagine most of these CEOs usually are anyway. It doesn't
Yeah.
shock me. But like this guy like is gonna destroy HBO Max in like a couple of weeks.
Oh, the worst. Yeah.
Gonna become the Honey Boo Boo channel soon.
So yeah.
Mama Boo Boo, is that her name? Mama Boo Boo?
I think that's.
Papa Boo Boo?
Well, anyway, he's gonna merge the worst of programming and get rid of some good programming to make room for it.
You ever watch Succession?
Yeah.
How far are you in?
I still got like the whole. I haven't watched any of the new season. I think I got a little bit of season 3 left.
Okay, you should
I
definitely
like
watch
it. It's just the episodes are long, and I don't know. It's not
They're
like
really good. I like that show, and I think it's a good show where you could probably like I do artwork, so like
Mhm.
it's definitely a good show where I could do art, and if I feel like I need to look up, I'll look up. But
Right, right,
like oh my god, I need to like watch these special effects that like teams spent months on working on,
right,
or an
right,
animation thing. You know, those shows I like watching Star Wars Visions, for example. That's something
right,
I
right.
really have to invest in. Like if I'm watching that, means I'm not going to be drawing. I'm not going to like I want to actually watch it.
Yeah.
Um, but Succession, I think it's a great show. But what's funny about Succession is it is a total. I wouldn't say it's an attack, but it's definitely like exposes like the Murdoch family.
Oh
But
yeah.
it's all about like conservative. They own this conservative news channel. They own all these entertainment and everything like that, and which means they basically own Fox.
Yeah.
But I just find it funny because it's a product of Warner Brothers, which is HBO Max, which is also CNN, and CNN's getting pushed further to the right.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It's like guys, we're making a show called Succession. You don't have to actually abide by it.
Right.
You don't
Right.
have to become it.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's bad for the country. It's pretty simple. Like you let this piece of the worst people on the Twitter were cheering tonight about this.
Yeah.
I thought this was like a big win.
It was weird too because he did not. He just bullied Caitlin Collins.
Did he even sound
You know?
coherent?
He did. I mean, he sounded coherent, but a lot of it was like, look, that's like saying your 92-year-old grandpa still knows World War II stories pretty well. You know what I mean? Like Trump's been telling these election lie stories for like years now.
Yeah,
Even
CNN should be sued by Dominion because of tonight.
right. I mean, it's like he's
Some of that fucking Discovery money.
and he has memorized these scripts. You know, I mean, like it's not.
It's all grievances. It's always he's the victim. You know,
and he's
his
good at
supporters
not
are the
answering.
victims.
How would you do this? I'd get it done. and I'd do it good, and I'd
You were in
better
prison
than.
for 4 years. He said the same thing. He didn't do shit.
That's why I was waiting for Collins to say like infrastructure week, or something like that.
Yeah, or healthcare.
The other thing
that was going to be in like 2 weeks.
She's like, Trump. Someone asked about the crisis at the border, and Trump's like, well, as you all know, I built that wall, blah blah. And Caitlin Collins is like, you built 52 miles of wall, and he's like, nope, I finished the wall, and she's like, no,
what?
it was 50.
It's like shit that can
miles.
be easily disproven.
Yeah, but then he's like, well, no, and he just steamrolled over her, and the crowd's like, yeah,
because it's all
right,
all,
and so
like
at the end of
Morton Downey Jr. audience,
right, and he's using the interviewer as a foil, you know, and playing to the crowd, and it works real well. He's good at it. So like he did sound pretty coherent tonight. I'll say that for him. But it was like,
but it was a tightly woven event.
It was
done in his favor.
Second nature to him.
But I mean, remember NBC gave him a town hall, like there was supposed to be a debate between him and Biden, and he refused to do it. And Biden was going to have a free, basically town hall, and then NBC decided, yeah, well, we'll just have competing networks and have fucking Trump get his own. But that was complete bullshit, you know?
It was, yeah. Well, I don't know.
But I feel like, okay, the difference between that though was like, okay, well, Trump was president still, and he was the actual candidate for the Republican Party. Fine, whatever. I think it's bullshit on NBC's part. But this is different. Trump is just a fucking primary candidate. Like, it's still early in the election. CNN did not have to do this.
Yeah.
There's no reason to give this man that early bump before the summer. It's bullshit. So I don't know. What else? Let's move on.
Yeah. We got a couple more items. We got George Santos got charged.
For what? Stealing doggies again?
It was like wire fraud, campaign finance violations.
Wasn't he taking like weird sums of money, like $200? But like,
if you do a transaction under $200, you don't have to keep track of it. And he had like a bunch of them at like $199.90 or something.
Oh my God, what an idiot.
And then he collected unemployment while he was employed.
Yeah, he collected unemployment while making like $120,000 a year or something.
I mean, it was a bunch of stuff. Yeah, and honestly, he's probably right that like if he were a regular dude, they might have like just fined him and been done with it. But he's like so aggressively horrible with it.
It makes it more complicated because he's a public servant. He's a fucking congressman, but he's not the fucking president. I saw that he posted a thing called like he tweeted witch hunt. I was like Trump has like opened the door for all kinds of these like shitty parasitic grifters who think they can do the same shit Trump did. Like Trump would tweet witch hunt.
Right.
Sorry, George Santos, you're not Trump. You're just some fucking freshman congressman who tricked a bunch of enough people into getting elected.
Right. And from what I understand, like, look, if the feds charge you and get this far along with it, they say you're kind of fucked anyway. But like a lot of the stuff is like, a lot of the evidence is just pretty much factual, you know? Like he was cashing unemployment checks while he was also cashing paychecks. So that's indisputable.
Is that what these charges are about?
Some of them, yeah.
Is the dog that the veteran, is that part of it too?
So there was something in there about defrauding a veteran. I'd assume that was it.
Yeah.
But, it's just a bunch of charges.
He could face
20 years.
20 years. That'd be fucking funny. And that the big deal is that the reason in a normal functioning government, George Santos would be gone by now. They would have told him to resign, but they're not going to let him. No. What's his name? The fucking guy
Kevin McCarthy.
15 times to get fucking elected as. Didn't Biden make a joke about that? I swear.
Yeah, I think you're right.
15 times to be elected as the House Speaker. Yeah. He's not going to let Santos resign.
He can't. Well, I don't know how quickly this trial will move along, but from what I understand, it's like the evidence is like it is what it is.
It's like pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, like you can't, if you're cashing unemployment checks at the same time you're cashing paychecks, that doesn't add up. I mean, that's a pretty easy one to prove. A lot of this evidence is stuff like that. It's not like, you need to search for a motive or you need to like prove, it's all just like financial records. These are financial crimes.
Yeah.
So I think he's done for. I think he'll probably be replaced by a Democrat. I just don't know when it'll happen.
Hochul has been proven to be pretty shitty.
Yeah, she's
terrible.
terrible.
But I can't imagine her putting a Republican in. That would be insane.
Yeah. I don't know. That's George Santos in a nutshell.
And that was like announced like last night? It was pretty quick.
Yeah, it was. It was announced last night, and he was in court this morning. And I guess he was
funny,
arrested.
This fucking guy got elected. He was corrupt right from the start.
Yep.
Everyone realized all these idiots made a mistake and voted for him. They were all tricked. Everything like that. All this stuff came out about him. Now he's basically a completely made up character. It's not even George Santos, not even his fucking name. How his mom died like twice, once on 9/11 and once on some other tragic day. Like all kinds of just crazy, how he
remember when he claimed to be Jewish.
Yeah, well, he was Jewish, and then he came back and said, well, I never said I was a Jew, I said I was Jewish.
Right. Like,
oh no, I can't handle this.
Pretty epic.
I just figured like, okay, this guy's just gonna finish his 2 years, but he kind of forgot. So this happening today was pretty fucking funny.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's just
and he's terrible. He's flashing those white power symbols and stuff. He's just a shitty person.
And he puts out these weird videos where he's like, let's go Mets.
Yeah.
And then, like this weird, he reviews the new spacesuit, and it's like the most bizarre. It's like, what are you?
Yeah.
Like what? You literally are John Lovett's character.
He does seem like a John Lovett's character. Well, I don't think we're gonna have to worry about him too much longer. Someone who is boomeranging is Tucker Carlson. And you and I talked about this over the last few days. It was a weird thing. Tucker Carlson announced that he's coming back on Twitter and doing a show
today,
on Twitter.
I think, wasn't it?
Today or yesterday. But then I was thinking, I'm not alone in thinking this, I'm sure, although I didn't read anyone else tweeting about it. I was like, look, if Elon is putting on the Tucker show, then Elon's liable for what Tucker says.
Yeah.
But then shortly after, Elon Musk put out a tweet that kind of gave a cool reception to Tucker's news and said something like, we welcome his contributions, but let's be clear, this is not a Twitter thing.
This is not a official Twitter video.
Right. Basically. Which was like
it's his way of saying like, don't sue me, Dominion.
Right. Yeah, honestly, that was it. It was like
there's like some bullshit claim where Tucker's like, because I guess like with Fox, him getting let go from Fox or whatever, like he still owed money, but
like 25 million.
But he won't collect, but that's only if he stayed off the air for like a year or two or something like that. So if he does this thing, he risks losing all that money. But then someone said that is bullshit. He was never guaranteed that money. Anyway, so any claims that he's like falling on some sword for his Chud fans, like, look at me, one, it's like he could probably lose 25 million and be perfectly okay.
Right.
He'll make it back within a year anyway. Like, again, it's funny. Like I saw people announce like, yeah, I'm canceling my Twitter Blue subscription. I'm not gonna pay for this. Like, still use it, but I can't. I saw one person let the comment I posted. This person said, "I just canceled my Twitter Blue subscription, like literally just now. It's done." Because like I get it. Like I wouldn't want to. It's why I don't want our podcast on Spotify because I don't want to. Even if like only 5 people listen to this podcast, which is I don't even know. I don't know. You'll have to tell me. But like I don't want to even give that towards Joe Rogan.
Right. Yeah.
Oh fuck them. Like no. So I could see people being like a very poor decision on Elon to bring Tucker to Twitter. Like you will lose probably half of your Twitter Blue subscribers.
Yeah.
People used Twitter Blue before Elon took over and probably just forgot they had it and kept on using it.
Right.
Did exist before Elon took over.
Or they paid for a year up front, and yeah.
So they canceled it, and good. So Elon's probably like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I guarantee you he was a little psyched about it and would totally, if it was up to him, would say that Twitter welcomes Tucker.
Oh yeah.
Of our new video service that we're offering.
I think for sure he would have been like that until one of his lawyers told him, like, hey, look, this is what this could mean for you, like liability wise.
And also we just lost like 10,000 Twitter Blue subscribers.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I don't even give a fuck. Tucker Carlson, his reach will not, it's just not the same.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it'll be the same. I think it'll be something else. We'll see. Hopefully it's just sort of sad. Hopefully.
Yeah, I just think it's funny because it's like, again, Elon had to like backpedal.
Yeah.
He put some fucked up shit the other day, Elon Musk. I don't know. There was like something gross. I don't even remember now.
Who did?
Elon.
Oh, okay.
Just
yeah. I thought you said I put up something.
People will like screenshot his reactions to like right-wing stuff. So it's like you'd have to like follow Elon to see like who he's replying to.
Right.
It's like straight up just like he is a full-on like Nazi. Basically.
Yeah, I know he often responds to like really shitty accounts. You know? Even like really shitty accounts with few followers, he's all on board. Like if you're a shitty person, Elon wants to talk.
Interesting. Something to look into.
Yeah. Jeez. Ugh.
Yep.
Oh well. All right. Oh, and so the last thing I had on the list was these school board things. You had sent me an article, video about an article I had read, which was about a school board in a place outside of Colorado Springs, Colorado, where a bunch of right-wing chuds took over and like half the teachers quit and the school's in bad shape. And then I had also read about the Carroll school district, in the one that represents Southlake, Texas, and they put a bunch of chuds in office. And now they're like a bunch over budget because they hired like these Bible-based contractors to look at the curriculum and stuff.
Yeah, they're like,
spent all their money.
Well, that's the thing. People fall for right-wing buzzwords all the time or whatever. It's like they get tricked into it. Like they were annoyed their kid had to wear a mask for a little while. They were annoyed about like whatever. They fall for like school choice bullshit. And then they elect the one in Colorado. Basically, what happened is that these people totally fucked over the district, and basically the middle school became a charter school. They privatized it.
Yeah,
and
it's crazy.
The school board people were like, "Well, you voted for us."
Yeah, they don't give a fuck.
We didn't know you were gonna do that. And they're like, "What do you think school choice means, jackasses?" Right. Thank you for letting us profit off of your tax-paid school district.
Well, we had a school board election here where I live, where you used to live, and there was one candidate running against a more progressive candidate, and the first candidate, the conservative one, all you had to do was look at her campaign contributions. They were all from like these pro-charter school PACs.
Yeah,
I mean, anyone with a little bit of
like, you're literally voting in a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
What do you think they're gonna do? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, you feel safe that they removed a book from the library? Well, guess what? They're going to remove the entire library.
Well, someone had a good point. One of those people that ran for school board here homeschools her kids. Doesn't even have kids in the public school system. And someone is like, well, people who don't, anybody who pays taxes should be able to have input into the public schools. And I mean, I can see that point.
Yeah, but that's bullshit. I'm sorry. If you're, it just depends. It depends on your fucking politics. I have no idea.
Well, if that's the case, then you
super right wing. I'm assuming
you vote for people. You vote for policymakers. School board exists only to manage the public schools. The school board can't make a decision.
That's not what they're turned into anymore. Now that the school boards have become like literally, like you said, policymakers. They're not.
Yeah,
they're becoming like it's all political. had, it probably used to be more like just like, are we gonna have lemonade at the recess this year? And now it's just
Yeah.
straight up like we're gonna remove all these kinds of books. We're gonna make sure kids cannot participate in sports, and we're also gonna put in the mechanisms to leading to shutting down the school and turning it into a charter school the next semester.
Well, I think the big problem, and
I don't think somebody who homeschools their kid should be allowed to run for the school.
no,
I think that's bullshit. I don't think that person has the best interest of the school at heart. I would first ask them, why do you homeschool your kid?
Yeah. This candidate, the local one, said, well, I'm not going to answer any questions about my kids.
Well, then fuck that. You don't get to fucking run.
Right.
I can't ask you about you stupid kids. I don't want you definitely making decisions for my kid.
Right.
This person lost?
Yeah, lost big. In that race, there was a good candidate that got almost 8,000 votes. And then two other candidates each got 4,000 apiece, but roughly, I'm saying.
So the good candidate won.
Yes, yeah, easily. It's weird. Like a lot of this is it used to be that local schools controlled the show, meaning that the local school would pick out the curriculum. The local school would pick out their own textbooks. The local school would do this, that, or whatever. But then over the years, it got to be state run. And so states pick, like let's say you live in Austin, Texas, or let's say you live in Orlando, Florida, which is reasonably progressive, or Tampa, Florida. You don't get to pick your own textbooks at your local school. You have to deal with whatever the chud governor sends you. And that's like really awful. I mean, I guess you could say the reverse is true in like liberal states, but it seems like the conservative states are A, taking over the school boards, and B, allowing the state level government to dictate everything about these school boards. It was shitty. My last year of teaching, I used to be a public school teacher. My last year of teaching, they were basically getting to the point where they wanted you to just read scripts. Like literally, I'm not talking about like an exaggeration of saying they wanted to like have a lot of
They just wanted you to stick to like whatever and just recite it. You basically except regurgitate whatever they're giving you.
They bought a bunch of curriculum. We bought a curriculum called Engage New York, and you would show the kids a video, and then you would literally off a sheet of paper read something, and then you would give the kids work, and then it was real depressing. I never did it, but like
it's like again, the same thing with like a good example is Glenn Youngkin. Like you get these people all worked up, or the Republicans took advantage of the pandemic and played off people's grievances, like, yeah, we don't want to wear masks either. You vote for us. We'll be the ones that make sure your kid doesn't have to wear a mask. Good. And then you get people who probably would normally vote Democrat, probably don't that politically savvy though, and they end up voting Republican. And all of a sudden Glenn Youngkin or any of these other people, they're like, great, now we're gonna do what we want to do.
Yeah,
you suckers. We don't give a fuck if your kid wears a mask. We don't give a shit if your kid gets shot.
They don't.
Cool.
They just want to take as much money as they can and funnel it to churches.
We want to privatize the school, and we're going to do it in a situation where we don't have to accept every child. Because that's the thing about charter school; they don't have to accept every child.
And they don't have to follow the curriculum. It's really crazy.
Great show on. Well, it's technically ABC, but I watch it on Hulu. It's Abbott Elementary, and it's about public schools, and they did one all about charter schools this season. It was really good. It was definitely an attack on charter schools. I was talking to my wife about them when we were watching it, though, and I said, I guarantee you, though, if this show was like 10 years ago or like 2008, I bet you they would have been on the side of the charter school thing.
Well,
because
charter schools,
there was a lot of propaganda back then. I remember the start when Obama was president. Even Obama was like pushing that shit. And it was just like they were trying to like push it as this thing for like inner city kids can get a better education here. And I think a lot of it was revealed to be like bullshit. There was like a document that came out called like Waiting for Superman that got a lot of attention. And it was just a straight up anti-union, anti-teachers union propaganda.
Oddly, that was a lot of that was created by a woman who at the time was a Democrat, Michelle Reese, and she was married to like a real progressive, I think the mayor of Sacramento or something. I mean, you're right, it was a very convoluted little thing. And there were a lot of progressives that championed charter schools back then.
Well,
I mean, not so anymore, but yeah.
Like I said, I was telling my about that when we were watching Abbott Elementary. Like, it was very anti-charter school this season. Like, they talked about like one of the kids who went to it and was kicked out. Well, the elementary, because couldn't meet the grade requirement, and they were like, what? And they allowed the kid back in because it's a public school and they have to like pretty much let you in unless like unless you like killed someone or something and like you were expelled for like a real reason. But like, like we made the mistake of having our son go to this one, like potentially going to this one school.
Yeah.
Our first grade teacher were like, we didn't want to, and we were going to try this other school out. And it ended up being like a nightmare. It would have been like this long commute where like we went to this parent teacher things. I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. Like, this is like a nightmare. We literally texted the principal that night and said, can we please put our son? And she let him back in 2 seconds. She like sent a picture. Like, she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. This was years ago. And it just made me like, I didn't realize it'd be that easy to just get him back in.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, that school wasn't a charter school, but they were like, I don't know, they kind of acted like one. It was weird. But yeah, they don't have to have the same requirements that schools do, public schools do. So they could be religious, right? They could have put the 10 commandments up at a charter school, right? I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that's another reason why these psychos one, they hate public education. They want to privatize everything.
Yep.
They want to make them either religious schools or whatever. It's all like a scam. Yeah, and like you said, what did you say about it? Like, it's like somebody driving by a school and saying, how could I turn this into a money-making scheme?
Yeah. I'm confident that someone was driving by a school one day and they looked over and they started like noticing the buses and the buildings and the workers. And they're like, there's a fucking lot of money in there. How can I get it?
Yeah.
And then they found a way, right?
And like the joke is it's still on the taxpayer.
Yeah.
So that's the fun thing about privatization that people don't realize. Not fun. It's fun for the people who do the privatization. Is that the taxpayer is still on the hook. The joke is about why Republicans love privatization, because one, they can get the taxpayers to still fund it, but then still have to pay even more. And usually the services are weaker. They always are.
It is. It is depressing. I mean, like, look, there probably are good charter schools out there, but the majority of them are scams.
I'll give you like a good example. Garbage. In New York, you pay higher state taxes than other people, but like garbage would come twice a week.
Yes.
You didn't pay for it because it was part of the taxes. It's a service. Right. Pretty sure. Yeah. But when I moved out to California, wasn't as the same. I had to pay for private garbage company to come.
Oh, jeez.
And they only came once a week, which limits how much I could throw out sometimes.
Yeah.
Same thing here too. Same thing in Texas. They usually were pretty good. I think because we had the HOA in that place. The garbage.
Yeah.
Like I could leave a sofa out and they would take it. I think
I'll tell you, man. Yeah, I've put some stuff out there that I was sure was not, and they've always taken everything.
Yeah, I think it's because it's part of an HOA. But even
Could
here,
be.
I don't know. They never like gave me an issue. I was like warned when I moved here. They're like, "Oh yeah, if you leave that in your bag, they'll leave it there." They never done that.
Yeah.
But whatever. I made sure to tip them for Christmas this year.
Right. Yeah, that helps.
But like, the bribe. But like I said, it's like and I was shocked when I moved. I lived in New York until I was like 30. I was like, wait, what do you mean you got to pay for garbage? I was like, it's tax. Like, no, because you're not paying the same taxes. And I think like people don't realize that, but like privatization, it's a scam.
Yeah, it is. It straight up is.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh God.
Cool. Well, I do feel a little better. I'm gonna take my I don't know if you guys were watching, but like let's see where I'm at now. Well, when I was getting sick when we started the podcast.
Yeah, you were at like a 99 point something.
No, I ended up getting over 101.
Oh, jeez.
Now I'm 97.7.
Oh, nice.
I'm clinically dead.
So I was gonna say you reverse that. Yeah, all right, so good. Feeling better. Yeah, they probably will not. That's probably gonna get edited out of the beginning. But
oh, that break and all that. Yeah. Don't keep that in there.
The part where you're like retching for like 3 minutes straight because you're getting
yeah. I didn't throw up.
No. But yeah, that was a lot tonight. It was a little light on the pop culture because Visions we kind of glossed.
I mean, there's like not really much to.
There's not much
about.
Yeah,
it's not canon. It's just amazing, and you didn't watch Guardians, so it can really.
Right. Well, what you said about like putting Visions on in the background while you're working makes a lot of sense because it is kind of ambient stuff.
Well, no, I was saying that about Succession. I said, Visions. Right. I feel like I need to watch that because all the work put into it. It's like, it's all about the amazing visuals. Like,
yeah, I will say though, when I watched Visions, I'll probably rewatch it again and just leave it on as ambient kind of stuff and like visual, like moving stuff in the background.
Like I liked Einstein Babies.
Yeah,
you're like some toddler that just has amorphous blobs of color around to stimulate your brain. Wasn't that all bullshit in the end? Einstein.
They discovered that and I kind of bought into it, but they discovered that was not really doing anything good for the kid. I wasn't hurting him by any stretch, but like
they were trying to make it sound like this was gonna like make your kid a genius.
Yeah, they really did. And it's weird, like there is some literature that says like playing classical music to your kid will help them, and that sounds true.
I mean, it's stimulation.
Yeah, well,
it's stimulation. That's all it really is. Right. It's like,
so is Mountain Dew Code Red, but they don't recommend it.
Yeah, nothing stimulates a small infant than the bubbly soft drink.
Right. Do the do.
Dude, Mountain Dew Code Red is like the most nastiest shit. It's like somebody at Mountain Dew, the Mountain Dew company, right? Or Pepsi or whatever, was like, you know what? Our drink is not sweet enough or toxic enough. We need to. What is a more toxic? Like right now, the color is like a weird radioactive green, yellow, neon green color. What could we do to punch it up? And like someone's like, well, red food dye is really unhealthy for you. At least the version we're gonna use. Mountain Dew Code Red.
Yeah. Oh well. All right. Well, I guess that's the episode for tonight.
Yep. All right. Well, real quick, what do you think the art should be?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say, I mean, I'm tempted to say a Visions just because it is kind of cool looking. George Santos's little press conference was kind of funny.
I don't know if you want to do Trump. George Santos thing's kind of funny though.
George Santos might be a good one.
It's like a press conference, right? I think.
There's a press conference where he's talking about it being a witch hunt, and all the reporters laugh at him, and then he brings up Hunter Biden, and everyone boos.
Again, it's like I said, it's like Trump has opened the door for all these like shady grifter parasites to like scam artists, to come in and then when they get caught, they think they can just go into defense and say things like witch hunt, all the shit that Trump said. And I think a lot of them will realize that that's not how it works. And
it only works for Trump. And even then, it's not working for Trump anymore. I mean, his luck ran out with it.
It'd be funny, though, if E.J. Carroll goes after him again because of what happened tonight.
Hilarious.
Like, just sue him again.
She should. She should be back in court tomorrow morning saying, Your Honor. And that's what I would do.
Because he's just going to keep bringing it up on the campaign trail. He'll bring it up at all the rallies.
He'll make an ad out of it.
Yeah. He'll get one of his psychos to kill her. Like, and that's not even a joke.
Yeah.
Fucking get that. He'll pardon that the pipe bomber guy that like sent all those pipe bombs to like politicians and actors and shit. That guy will fucking all right. I'll probably do the George Santos thing. I think it'd be kind of fun.
It. That's a good one.
All right, talk to you. Oh, well, wait, you've got to end this.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, on that note, I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
You still going on about
that?
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGOAT, Facebook, YSGOAT, and Twitter, YSGOAT. Thank you, and have a great day.